How you doing, buddy? How you doing, mate? Down here. Oh, hello, my baby gorillas. And I'm not sure if they thought they could keep a good dog down. So let's see, make sure we're in here. Oh, Alex Salmond announcement. Here we go. Here we go. So let's just see what's happening just now. Oh, that's interesting. And I'm not sure if oh, we're in. We're in. We're in. Down. Let me fix my hair. Make sure we're in here. That's great. Let's pop out the chat. Oh, Alex Salmond announcement. Here we go. Here we go. I reckon, right, here's my prediction. Let's just see what's happening just now. Oh, here's my prediction. I think he's going to stand in the Scottish election. And I'm not sure. Oh, we're in. We're in. We're in. Where did that go? Let me fix my hair. Make sure we're in here. That's great. Let's pop out the chat. Oh, Alex Salmond announcement. Get rid of this guy. Here we go. Let's stop there. Let's go. Let's go. What's happening? Hi, my baby gorillas. What's happening here? Alex Salmond to make an announcement. Oh, he's already made it, has he? I think he's going to return to politics. Alex Salmond to make a statement amid speculation of a return to politics, which I predicted. I thought he might do it through the SNP, but obviously wee Nippy's been trying to probably prevent him coming back because he knows he's a big danger to her completely batshit crazy power. So let's have a wee look at this. What's going to be happening? Anton Chowdhury, I did get your messages, but for some reason, the YouTube are not putting the messages up. Former First Minister gives public statement and holds virtual Q&A. Former to make a public statement, and you can follow in our live blog. Interesting. Where is that? Who's this? The Falkirk Herald. Save and exit. Right, so it's gone back to the Scotsman. So we're better than the Scotsman. Alex Salmond. Probably Johnston Press. So I don't know if there's anything on YouTube. Alex Salmond. No, there's nothing on here. 5 years ago. No, there's nothing on here. So let's go back to this. Where is this? Alex Salmond, former First Minister, gives public statement and holds virtual Q&A. Alex Salmond statement live. Former First Minister gives public statement and holds a virtual Q&A. Former First Minister Alex Salmond is to make a public statement. It should be at 2 o'clock, so I don't know where it is. And you can follow it all on our live blog. Mr. Salmond said he will make his statement and then hold a virtual question and answer session at 2 p.m. on Friday. So it's today. It comes after, is it not? It's not next Friday, is it? 2 p.m. on Friday. It comes after his announced plans to take legal action over the conduct of the Scottish Government's top civil service, Leslie Evans. I think she's for the high jump. Nicola Sturgeon says she's going to stand by her, but obviously she's been gerrymandered on behalf of Nicola Sturgeon, gerrymandering things on behalf of Nicola Sturgeon. That's probably why Nicola Sturgeon wants to keep a hold of her. He said the Permanent Secretary failed to take real responsibility for the failings highlighted in two reports this week. Mr. Salmond said he announced his announcement of legal action on Wednesday would be the final statement on the reports. Now, he might be making a statement about that, but I think it's going to be an announcement he's going to stand somewhere, and said his announcement of the legal action on Wednesday would be the final statement on the reports. The topic of his statement on Friday has not been disclosed. I think he should stand in Nicola Sturgeon's seat. I know he comes from up the northeast of Scotland, but I think he should stand in Nicola Sturgeon's seat and see what sort of response the public give to him, and see if they've lied. It'd be funny, Sawa, Salmond and Sturgeon all standing in the one seat. That would be some parliamentary battle, that would. The topic of his statement on Friday has not been disclosed. Earlier this week, two reports were published related to the Scottish Government's handling of harassment. Can you imagine that? That could actually knock Nicola Sturgeon out if the three of them stood, because it would split the votes all over the place. That would be a tremendous political move. I wouldn't stand in up in the northeast. I would stand in Nicola Sturgeon's seat if I was Alex Salmond. Earlier this week, two reports were published related to the Scottish Government's handling of harassment complaints against Mr. Salmond. James Hampton report into whether the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, breached the ministerial code, concluded she did not do so. Well, it didn't say that, because it did with Hampton's report, which was heavily redacted and you couldn't make head nor tail of it. She did not do so with regards to the four allegations you looked into. But the Scottish Parliament Committee examined the handling of harassment complaints, found Miss Sturgeon misled Parliament, and it identified a number of failings. Now, it could be, I mean, he's already announced the fact of taking legal action, so I don't know if it's going to be that or something else. I don't know, let's go into Google. Could take on Sturgeon. Oh, that's absolutely superb. That's absolutely brilliant. Oh, that'd be great. And if they gave me a choice between voting for Sturgeon, oh, here we go. Alex Salmond forms new party to take down Nicola Sturgeon. SNP election hammer blow. Oh my goodness. So if there was a choice of going for Nicola Sturgeon or Alex Salmond, I would be voting for Alex Salmond. Alex Salmond has formed a new political party to rival his former colleague Nicola Sturgeon in upcoming Scottish election. I don't know if this is Tommy Sheridan's involved in this, and Craig Murray, who's been persecuted by Nicola Sturgeon as well. So I don't know if all of these people are actually involved in it. Tommy Sheridan I really like on a personal basis. Obviously, I don't share his politics, me being a libertarian liberal. But it's very interesting. But if I was Salmond stand against Sturgeon, even if he loses, it's still Nicola Sturgeon might lose as well, which would be absolutely hilarious. The former First Minister made an announcement in Zoom at 2 p.m. This afternoon. Alex Salmond Zoom. Alex Salmond could take on Sturgeon as a surprise. Oh dear. That's the same one I just read, isn't it? Come on, where is it? Oh dear. Alex Salmond's statement live. Former First Minister announces a new ALBA party. Oh, very nice. Ahead of the Scottish election, the Scottish parliamentary elections in May. I think I'll personally, especially in the second vote, going to be voting for. I'm going to be voting for. I don't know where Nicola Sturgeon is on the list as well. I would suspect if she doesn't get in the constituency, she'll get in through the regional list. Because it would be very embarrassing if she's just standing in the constituency. So if she's just standing in the constituency and Alex Salmond takes enough votes off her, that's her. That could be her absolutely out of Parliament. What a revenge that would be. Former Scottish First Minister Alex Salmond is to make a public statement, and you can follow it all in our live blog by Rachel Mackey in the evening Edinburgh Evening News. Mr. Salmond said he will make his statement and then hold a virtual question and answer session at 2 p.m. on Friday. I don't know how Zoom works. What are you saying, guys? Hi, guys. Hi, Jim. How you doing, buddy? And so, Alex Salmond is everyone's favourite nationalist at the moment. Yeah. And all right. Hi, guys. How you doing? Yeah. All right, David. Yeah. The suit on. I will do, buddy. I will apologise. It was caught quick today. I am Alex Salmond, and so is my wife. Excellent. Well, that's good. Remember when Tommy Sheridan did his political broadcast? Razin. He did very well when he was speaking to. He did very well when he was speaking to. What do you call him? What's the guy's name? Kenny McCaskill. When he was speaking to Kenny, that's my dyslexia kicking in. Kenny McCaskill. I had a very good interview, Tommy Sheridan, and his Celtic videos are a bit cringe. But see, to be honest with you, when you speak to Tommy on a one-to-one basis, he's actually better than when he's doing all the Firebrand stuff. He's actually quite a nice guy when you get to speak to him just one-to-one. So, but unfortunately, like George Galloway, they're all raging commies. I mean, really, they're probably slightly more moderate commies than anything else, but certainly better than the SJW communists. I mean, honestly, this is a battle between George Galloway, who simps for the CCP in China, whose difference between him and Tommy Sheridan, for instance, would be independence, but pretty much come from the same sort of quite far left socialism. And you've got Craig Murray now, who's been persecuted, is also going to stand as well. He might be standing from in jail, a bit like Bobby Sands did. So, David, are you wearing a Jeremy Corbyn t-shirt under that hoodie? Very good. That's the reader's Stalin stack. You guys are too funny. Okay, let's see. I can't believe I can't find this. Why is this not an announcement? It would be great if he took Nicola Sturgeon on in their own constituency. Let's see. Is Nicola Sturgeon on the regional list? Oh, that was the 15th. Faces humiliation of losing her own seat. Oh my goodness, totally deserved. I reckon that Salmond could get 9,000 votes, and if Salmond and Salwa target this, it would certainly be hairy for Sturgeon. So this is the Express. So if Salwa and Sturgeon both actually challenge her in her own seat, I mean, it could be the end of Nicola Sturgeon, unless she's on the regional list. SNP regional list candidates, Glasgow. She's not on the regional list. She's not on the regional list. So if they take her out in her constituency, if Sawa and Salmond stand in Nicola Sturgeon's constituency, then she could be out of Parliament if they get enough votes. Oh my goodness. Oh no, she's number 2. She's number 2. So she'll still get back in. She'll still get back in the strength of the overall strength of what's happening in Glasgow. But Sawa, that would be really embarrassing for her, not getting back in through the constituency list. Yeah, if I was Salmond, I would definitely go for that. But she will get back in. Face the humiliation of losing own seat to Sturgeon faces humiliation of losing own seat rival leader vows to take down FM. Nicola Sturgeon faces humiliating prospect. This is by Richard Percival, and this is on the 15th of March 2021. Losing her own seat in the spring Scottish elections after Scottish Labour leader vowed to run there. And this could be what Anisawa, who is elected Scottish leader last month, said today he would challenge the SNP leader for her Glasgow South seat, which she held since 2007. This is the first time in UK politics where major party leaders have contested the same parliamentary seat. This is the first time. Well, can you imagine if Salmond goes in as well? Can you imagine Salmond and Sawa? Oh my goodness. That would be the most interesting seat so far at the May election. What are you guys saying? Hello there, hi there. Very Mind the Merciless with your red hood there. Very good, guys. Nicola Sturgeon has went that far downhill, yeah. Satan has to ask her where she's going. That's true. Yeah, what are you doing, Nippy? Unless she gets the butcher's next door to the bar to vote. All of the cybernats look like these guys with the goggles on in the control room of Ming Merciless Palace. Oh dear, you guys are absolutely rocking it, I swear. So I think she'll still get back into power because she's number 2 on the list, but it would be very embarrassing to lose her actual seat to anybody else. And I don't know, Sawar could win it. Could win it. And so could Alex Salmond, but I would mean what a split it would be. Referring to the ongoing row between Miss Sturgeon and her predecessor Alex Salmond, Mr. Sawar said the SNP should grow up and move on. Yeah, well, and I don't think we want Labour back either. Don't forget, Brexit, the UK Reform Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party, guys, depends if you're a unionist or want separation. Scottish Libertarian Party for separation, UK Reform if you want to stay part of the union, so that's up to you. As well as scrap plans for a second referendum. He continues, oh come on, I really need a scroller or something like this. He continues, we can't rely on the SNP to prioritise recovery because they've already made clear that they will prioritise a referendum this year. So back to the referendum. It's only by voting for us that you can guarantee that we have a parliament. What is going on? Right, I've had enough of that. Come on, where is the Alex Sam thing? Oh, so she's second on the list. Alex Salmond former. Oh my goodness. Come on, where's the thing? Where's the public statement? $10 ago, 19 minutes ago. 5 things you need to know about Alex Salmond standing. Alex Salmond stands for Scottish Parliament. Woohoo! And I was right again. I was wrong. I thought he would go back into the SNP and Challenger, which would have been quite interesting. But they've now got a political party. I don't know if this is different from the one that Tommy Sheridan's in and Craig Murray, or if it's all together. Certainly big, heavy-hitting names. Torquil Crichton. Alex Salmond stands for the Scottish Parliament. 5 things you need to know. Bombshell announcement that Alex Salmond is standing in the Scottish election turns the contest from standing campaign into the biggest political scrap of modern times. Oh, well, here we go.
The public launch. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm announcing the public launch of a new political force, the Alba Party. Alba will contest the upcoming Scottish elections as a list-only party under my leadership, seeking to build a supermajority for independence in the Scottish Parliament. Over the next 6 weeks we'll promote new ideas about taking Scotland forward, giving primacy to economic recovery from the pandemic and the achievement of independence for our country. We expect to field a minimum of 4 candidates in each regional list, and we're hoping to elect Alba MSPs from every area of Scotland. Today I want to introduce you to the party, to its aims, and to some of our very first candidates. Today we're making an entirely positive statement, and also asking people to come forward and give us support.
Oh wow, so it's just an announcement of the party. Oh, I hope he's going to stand in Nicola Sturgeon's seat in the constituency, on the constituency list. That would be absolutely superb. So that's absolutely great. What an absolutely fantastic situation to happen. Until we get our party set up, then obviously I don't know where this is going to be. I would take it this is just another left-wing party. So it's a whole series of left-wing parties, including the Liberals. Even they're pretty left, and Labour's left, Greens are left. Then pretty much the Conservatives are left. So there's not by voting for the Scottish Libertarian Party, you're now actually voting for a party in a different place in the political compass. Whereas all of these are just swapping left-wing ideas. We need to get some fresh ideas in. And more freedom for individuals, not less freedom, which all these authoritarian parties seem to be progressing on. What are you guys saying? Alba Channel TV. Alba Channel TV, is it? Thanks, buddy. Let me take it right from your thing. I don't know if it's in YouTube. Maybe it's in YouTube. Is that that? It doesn't look like it. I don't know where it is. Don't know where it is. Send me a link. Send me a link, please, Dan. Have you got one? Is that a link? Alba Channel YT. Can you send me a link, please, Dream Watcher? And he's live on Alba Channel. Alba Channel. God, I can't find it. Somebody send me a link. Somebody send me a link so I can click on it. Poor Alex Belfield got lifted. Yeah, his door kicked in the other day. I saw it was terrible. I mean, the police are starting to become far too authoritarian. And it's going to get worse because now they're trying to bring in thought policing as well. Misogyny, no misandry, but misogyny. All the cybernetics, yeah. Ming Bird on Stunning BTW. Wee Nippy taking English nurses' taxis and giving it to Scottish nurses. Very nice. Yes. When it's not our money, when it's not your money, that's it. We need to generate new businesses. It's by creating growth. And we've got lots of talented people, but getting initial stage 1 and stage 2 funding to develop growth is what we need to do. And that's something that we'll tackle when we're actually talking to people. We'll identify great entrepreneurs, Scottish entrepreneurs. Don't forget what the guys did with what was the one? What was the one that they got £1 billion? They bought over for £1 billion. 0.4 Scottish company bought it for 1.4 billion. Don't know why that's not tell me. What was the name of it? It was a Scottish company. What was the name of it? Did holidays? Holiday company. Internet. Holiday. Internet. Skynet. Can't remember what the name of it is. Anyway, there was a company bought by the Chinese for about £1 billion, 1.4 billion. And what we need is more entrepreneurs, high-tech entrepreneurs, to increase the wealth in Scotland. Let's have a read of this. It'd be funny if Alex Salmond. So yeah, Join, have we got a link here? What was he talking about? So is there a link to this? Alex Salmond to announce. Oh, there is Alba Party. Why is this muted?
They come from a range of experience. I think Chris has been instrumental in advancing the independence debate, getting people to think what happens if, and in a way, of course, that's been the genesis of the Alba Party, and seeing and understanding that a secure majority in Parliament for independence.
Let's see. Start for the same.
The Alba Party. Alba will contest the upcoming Scottish elections as a list-only party under my leadership, seeking to build a supermajority for independence in the Scottish Parliament. Over the next 6 weeks, we'll promote new ideas about taking Scotland forward, giving primacy to economic recovery from the pandemic and the achievement of independence for our country. We expect to field a minimum of 4 candidates in each regional list, and we're hoping to elect Alba MSPs from every area of Scotland. Today I want to introduce you to the party, to its aims, and to some of our very first candidates. Today we're making an entirely positive statement, and also asking people to come forward and give us support. Given the unique circumstances of this election campaign, these messages you're about to see are in video form. However, I would like to introduce you to 3 of our candidates. First, let's hear from Eva Comrie, who will be standing for Alba in Mid-Scotland and Fife.
Thank you, Alec. Hello, I'm Eva Comrie. I was born in Stirling in the heart of Scotland and brought up happily in Blairlogie, Crieff in Alva. I went on, with the assistance of a grant, to study law at Edinburgh. I'm your bionic candidate because the Scottish NHS saved my life and my mobility. They've provided me with a couple of dozen artificial legs and they rebuilt my titanium spine.
Wow.
Independence for Scotland has been my lifetime's desire, and for that reason I have today relinquished my candidacy in the number 1 spot for the SNP in Mid-Scotland and Fife.
Wow.
And that's because I've accepted an invite to stand as a list candidate for the Alba Party, because the Alba Party will ensure, as a list party, that Scotland elects a supermajority for independence. In addition, as a woman and as a lawyer, you might understand that I've been a little disappointed that equalities policies have not been as positive as they might have been. So I intend to continue to campaign on that topic, and I'll be delivering a policy paper on equalities at our candidates' consultation a week on Saturday. Finally, I need to say that this will be a positive campaign run with a spirit of determination that what we will focus on in Alba, and what I will focus on, will be what is best for the people who live and work in the area where I've lived and worked for all of my life. And my primary aim is to ensure that I am part of the team that attains independence for our country and rebuilds our country when we have our independence once more. Thank you. Siarad go bra.
Thank you, Eva. As Eva mentioned, we're going to have a candidates conference a week on Saturday, and I can think of no one better to present the equalities policy to that conference than Eva. And I look forward to seeing her policy and to the discussion which arises. Now, second up today from Cynthia Guthrie, who intends to stand in the south of Scotland for Alba.
Hello, Alec. I'm Cynthia Guthrie, and I'm very honoured to be standing for the Alba Party in the south of Scotland in the forthcoming parliamentary elections. My background's business, and what's really been lacking in the Scottish Parliament are experienced business people. I've got a proven track record in corporates and also in an SME which I currently co-own. We have got to establish and get an ecosystem, get the economy back up and running, and really help businesses transition out of the COVID pandemic. So I'm really looking forward to putting all my experience to good use in Parliament. My hope is that people will support the Alba Party. Let us get a supermajority on the 6th of May.
Thanks, Cynthia. And Cynthia's expertise in business is going to be hugely invaluable if she's elected to the Scottish Parliament, given the priority of recovery from the pandemic. And now, finally for today, for the candidates list is Councillor Chris McElhenney from the west of Scotland.
Hello, Alec. Thank you very much, and thank you for your words there. They were very much an inspiration. My name's Chris McElhenney. I'm a councillor in Inverclyde in the west of Scotland. I was first elected as an SNP councillor in 2012 and had the great privilege of leading the SNP in Inverclyde for almost a decade. But today, I've relinquished my membership with the SNP. I will no longer be standing for the SNP on the West of Scotland list, and instead I'll be standing for the Alba Party alongside you so that we can deliver a super majority for independence at the upcoming Scottish parliamentary elections. Many people may know that over the past years I've been calling for a plan B, so that when Boris Johnson continues to tell us no, we can't have a choice in our own future, we make sure we have that choice. And I think that the Alba Party is exactly what is needed right now, so that the SNP can absolutely win constituencies across Scotland, but only by voting for the Alba Party on the list can we deliver that super majority for...
If I was voting for them, they would still vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party on the regional list, not the Alba Party. I think it's more important that we get Libertarians in who want to reduce tax, and they'll get a higher growth, and potentially these guys who I think will just meddle in business rather than actually promote it. Unless they're going to throw a whole ton of dough at start-up companies, then I don't know what they're going to do.
Our independence. Thank you, and back over to you, Alec.
Oh, well, thanks, Chris. And of course, the man who made Plan B a household term. Now, I should say that ALBA was founded by the journalist Laurie Flynn, who has provided a statement today for distribution, which will be set out on the ALBA site. I had discussions with Laurie, and indeed others from other list parties over the past few weeks. But I'm sure it's the concept of ALBA, which is the one which is most soundly based. The party's strategic aims are clear and unambiguous: to achieve a successful, socially just, environmentally responsible, independent country. The tactics are to stand for the regional list to secure the supermajority for independence in our parliament. We intend to contribute policy ideas to assist Scotland's economic recovery and to help build an independence platform to face new political realities. In the last election, there were nearly 1 million wasted SNP votes on the regional list. Only 4 SNP MSPs were elected in that way.
That's why you should vote.
And yes,
that's why if you're a nationalist or want independence, you should vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party. I believe a lot of people have left and joined the Scottish Libertarian Party.
After the Survation poll, the SNP would elect no regional seats at all from 1 million votes on the list. They would all be totally wasted independence votes.
So vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party.
Now, if ALBA wins regional list seats, the wasted votes end. The number of independents supporting MSPs in the Parliament could reach 90 or even more. The initiative for independence should then be led by the Parliament, uniting the parties. Boris Johnson has already said no to the SNP proposals. He will find it much more difficult to say no to a Parliament and a country. And the independence debate will be recast, not as the Tories against the SNP, but Boris Johnson against Scotland's Parliament representing Scotland's people. Today, ALBA are hoisting a flag in the wind, planting our saltire on a hill. In the next few weeks, we'll see how many will rally to our standard.
So I don't know what they stand for. Are they just SNP, another SNP Mark II? Which is all right. I mean, if we're just getting, is there any differences between them? I don't know if there is, but I don't want another SNP Mark II unless, well, Alex Salmond was not bad as First Minister, but he's not going to be First Minister. So I'm going to definitely vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party because I know where they are in the political compass and they're not with these SJWs.
Now, thank you very much. I'm about to show a video and then we're going to move on to questions.
Cut the music. Cut the music. Go, Alex. You're on. That's us. Come on, pal. Awkward pause.
Going to do television, print journalists, bloggers in order, and don't worry, we'll get through everybody's question. I'll stay here until all the questions are answered. But first up, we've got, if I can see correctly, I think we've got Jim Matthews of Sky.
The politicians don't like me asking them questions.
Television. Jim, on you go.
Come on, boys, come on.
This section, the SNP would, as we set out, Thanks, Jim. On the question about what's going to provide the majority for independence, as we set out arithmetically, it's very, very clear indeed. And the Salvation poll I mentioned, the latest poll, shows that absolutely. But what that shows, and that on the constituency section, the SNP would win a majority of seats, a bare majority, but a majority. I think the figure was 67. But in the list section of the Holyrood poll, the SNP would win no seats whatsoever. But despite having a best part of 1 million votes in the list, they would win.
Vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party.
No seats whatsoever. Now, the Alba Party is a list party. We're standing only in the list. We're not challenging the SNP in the constituencies. Indeed,
I challenge Nicola Sturgeon, Alex.
We're saying vote SNP or for an independence party on the constituency section. We're giving that support. Our campaign that we launch is going to be entirely positive. Now, as far as the second part of your question, Jim, I mean, we've had, 2 court cases, 2 judges, 1 jury, 3 inquiries. And I'm prepared to accept the results of all of these. So it is time to move on. The outstanding things from there are things that were recommended by the inquiries, the civil action against the Permanent Secretary and the Scottish Government. That came out of the recommendations of the parliamentary inquiry, and the report to the police on the leak, which has caused so much distress for everyone involved. Then that certainly came out of the Hamilton report and the comments of the parliamentary inquiry. So after the 2 court cases, the jury, the 3 inquiries, it is time to move on. I wanted to talk about the future of Scotland for the last 3 years. Now I've got the opportunity, thanks to the Alba Party, and that's exactly what I intend to do. I intend to do it in an entirely positive way. We've got to establish the independence platform, which will enable us to take this country to independence. We've got to respond to the challenges of the pandemic, the economic challenges.
Yeah, I still prefer to vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party, thanks.
Which are going to come upon us very soon. We're not even out of the woods of the pandemic yet. These are the ideas that Alba are going to contribute. And as you see, the positive platform that emerges from Alba, I think it's going to reinforce the momentum behind the independence cause. And that's exactly what we intend to do. Now, next up in a question, I think we have the Times newspaper and Kieran Andrews, I think.
Come on, boys, get the volume on. Here's Stuart Hamilton, Stuart Campbell, Reverend, I think it's Stuart Campbell from Wings Over Scotland. My goodness, what's going on there? Has he got an earpiece on there?
Right, I think I've got your question, Kieran. This is quite central to what the Alba Party is putting forward. We're saying that the independent strategy should lie with the Parliament. That's why we need a supermajority. We think it will be fundamentally more difficult for Boris Johnson to say no to a Parliament than he does to a party. So if you have in the Scottish Parliament a substantial majority of MSPs across a range of parties who are supporting independence, then that is a very powerful position to start independence negotiations. If you don't do it that way and put forward a proposal for a Section 30 or for even for a plebiscite of some kind, without that majority behind you, then Boris Johnson will say, no, this is an SNP fascination, this is a party, this is the UK government against the SNP, and we're entitled to say no. We've got to cast the independence debate, not as that, but rather as Boris Johnson against Scotland's Parliament representing Scotland's people. That's why the supermajority concept is fundamental to the success of the negotiations for independence.
So basically what he's saying, basically what they're saying is don't vote for the SNP on your regional list, even if you're an SNP supporter. You can either vote for the Alba Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party. Both of these are independence parties as well. So, and if you don't want to do that, vote for the Brexit Party instead of voting for the Conservatives on the regional list. Oh, sorry, not the Brexit Party, the Reform UK Party.
Move on to the blogging community, and I think we've got the Wings Over Scotland, Stuart Campbell. Stuart?
Mr. Campbell's obviously done some great work on behalf of Alex Salmond. It's quite an interesting conversation. I hope you can lip read. Yeah, skipping along.
Strategic aim. Strategic aim of Alba. Supermajority, building that substantial majority in the Scottish Parliament is the key to unlock that question, and it's the key to the way forward. Now, if Alba helps, and it is helping, because we're not standing on the constituency ballot, we expect that to be dominated by the Scottish National Party. But if Alba can help by contributing independence supporting MSPs and their expertise, they're contributing to the new platform that we're going to have to build in independence to meet the new political realities, ideas to get us out of the pandemic in an economic sense as quickly as possible. If we can contribute these, then that's an entirely positive thing. As to what happens, I mean, if we are able to assist, to help in achieving our country's independence, and that's really what that's more than enough for me as a person. I'm sure for the Alba MSPs who are elected, but anything that happens beyond that will be entirely a matter for the Scottish people, because we,
that's when we're coming into play.
Like every other political party, are in the hands of the people. Now I think we're on to television again.
What's happening with the sign, boys? Oh my goodness, what's going on?
But after the court, in terms of the first part of your question, I mean, everything I've said on the record stands. But after the court cases, after the judges, after the jury, after the inquiries, my view is we should accept the results of everything. The ones we like, the ones we don't like, and then we move on. Everything I've said about everything stands as it did. In terms of the difference between the SNP and Alba, then it's pretty obvious that the difference is that the SNP are standing in the constituencies and the list. Alba is a list-only party. As I've pointed out at the last election, the best part of a million SNP list votes were wasted, electing only 4 MSPs from the list, the regional list section. If we are to accept the suggestions from the Salvation poll yesterday, the SNP would have a massive victory on the constituency section of the ballot, but not elect not one single list MSP because of the workings of the D'Hondt system. In other words, 1 million votes, it would be wasted. Now, Alba and indeed other parties are standing as list-only parties. If we are successful in electing MSPs, if the people decide to give Alba their votes, then that will add and build.
So all the nationalists, all the SNP supporters shouldn't vote on the regional list. They should vote for Scottish Libertarian Party, the Alba Party, whoever Tommy Sheridan. I don't know if Tommy Sheridan's part of this or what the situation is, but I think he's got another party with Craig Murray.
What we're describing as the independent supermajority in Scotland's Parliament. That allows us to cast the independence debate not as party against party, not as SNP against the Tories, not as Nicola Sturgeon against Boris Johnson, but allows us to cast the debate as it should be cast. That is the Tory Prime Minister saying no to Scotland. Not to saying no to a political party, but saying no to Scotland's Parliament and Scotland's people. And I think it's fundamentally more difficult for Boris Johnson to say no to the Parliament and the people. And the strategy for obtaining independence It should be one that we entrust to the Parliament with, we hope, and it's up to the people, but we hope a substantial supermajority for independence in that Parliament. And now, next up, will be a member of the press corps.
Now, for even political strategy, I mean, with the amount of SNP MPs and whatever, if there is a supermajority, what Alex is saying, that there would be no point in voting for the SNP. You're wasting your vote on the regional list. If you're an SNP supporter, you should transfer it to the Scottish Libertarian Party, the Alba Party, or whatever other independence party. You should be voting for that as well, if you want independence. But yeah, it's pointless voting for the SNP in the regional list. Aye, very good.
For independent support for returning to politics, by invitation from Laurie Flynn and his colleagues in the Alba Party to give a list party the profile I think it needs to make a breakthrough in this election, entirely up to the people of Scotland. But if we do make that breakthrough, then it's going to result not in a narrow majority of, or perhaps even no majority of independents supporting MSPs in our Parliament, but we think it will result in a supermajority, a substantial majority, which is the parliamentary base that's required in order to be in a strong position to negotiate our independence with the UK government. As far as the GRA and other policies are concerned, you perhaps heard Eva Comrie say that she was taking our equalities paper to our candidates conference a week tomorrow. And as I said, I can think of no better person to take that qualities paper forward. I mean, it's an issue of how do you reconcile the important rights of equality for all with the hard-won rights that people, particularly women, have achieved, the sex-based rights to private spaces. And that's the issues that are tackled in Eva's paper, and it comes across in a very positive way. I'm looking forward to the Alba debating that a week on Saturday and the policies that come out of it. And in terms of the process by which, the statecraft, by which we make sure that the Prime Minister bows to the will of the Scottish people, then it is absolutely vital that we win the argument for legitimacy of the independence question. How you establish that, whether it's a Section 30 referendum or a plebiscite, that's a tactic by which you're achieving that legitimacy. But the first port of call legitimacy is Scotland's Parliament speaking for Scotland's people. And to cast the debate and the argument and the negotiations as a Tory Prime Minister against a Parliament, as opposed to party against party, is fundamental to winning that argument. I can tell you from experience that extracting concessions from Westminster is never an easy process. There's many countries and many places around the world who could testify to that in their history. But it can be done, it will be done, and essential to having it done is to have that supermajority in the Parliament, and that's what ALBA stands for. And then we go on to our next question.
Good. Next question, no volume. Oh, there's wee Paul Hutchin. Hey, Abby. He was at the David Irvine event. That wasn't that. He decided to write a story about me. I think he's pals with that Peter, whatever, it's Peter Smith. I think them, they're two are pals. That's why they're besmirching me on through the media just now. I've not caught up with him yet. It's a very strange faced young man, isn't he? It'd have been good if they sorted out the volume.
Good questions.
Sound is not always the easiest, as we've already seen on the Guerilla TV channel, get sorted, especially in your first few times of actually trying to get the best sound on it. So it's a shame we can't actually hear the question.
But the answer to the first one's unambiguously yes. I'll campaign with all people who are putting forward the independence cause in a referendum, as you would do in a referendum. Can I say that, to re-emphasise the point I made to Pilar, that A referendum is one tactic. I mean, I moved forward to a referendum under a Section 30 clause in 2014, as you know. But that was done because that was the best way to achieve the legitimacy of an independence referendum, the acceptance of independence by Westminster, if the Scottish people said yes at that time. It's by no means the only route. The route has to be democratic, but there's a range of pressures and things you can establish in terms of bringing the independence.
I think Scottish independence, with regards to this as well, is going to come very close, if not. I think with this party, with the Scottish Libertarian Party, I think there's a third party as well, a fourth party at least. I think the Scottish Socialist Party are wanting independence as well. So with this array of parties, if the SNP don't vote, or the SNP voters don't vote for them in the regional list and actually hear the message and vote for the other parties, there is a great chance that there will be a second referendum. As far as I'm concerned, that's what looks like it's going to be on the cards. Whether or not they win the second referendum, if they don't win the second referendum, it's going to put a major spoke in the nationalist movement, because that's them done it twice in a very short period of time. So if they do it again and the Unionists win again, that means that there should be a decline probably in nationalism. What happened in Quebecois, in Quebec and in Canada, there was a decline in their organisation after that happened. So it's very concerning. Even if they get Boris to agree to a second referendum, and even if they get the second referendum, and if they lose again, that's going to cause them major problems.
Independence case forward. As I said, the Section 30 referendum, the plebiscite idea, international legal action, the peaceful street demonstrations, popular will, these are all tactics. But the tactics have to be founded on the legitimacy of the Parliament. The Parliament has to have, I believe, not a bare majority for independence within it, but a supermajority. That changes the balance fundamentally into Scotland's favour. That's what I think Alba's got to offer. But of course, this is not a matter that should be decided by personalities. This is a matter of policy in the future of Scotland, and then it behoves everyone to accept the verdict of the people, whatever it may be, and certainly to rally to Scotland's cause when the time comes. In terms of your second question, Alba's not really a party which is looking to government posts. The contributions that we're trying to make are threefold. One is to build that supermajority. Secondly is immediately, and this will emerge from a week on Saturday, the policy conference, and during the campaign, specific ideas, principally on economic recovery for Scotland from the pandemic. This is the urgent requirement. The consequences in economic terms of the pandemic have not really hit us yet. I mean, the consequences in social terms and family terms, of course, have hit us over the last year, all of us. And that's obvious. But the economic consequences of the pandemic are still to come, and therefore economic recovery is an overwhelming priority. And the third thing that Alba can contribute is, the world has moved on since 2014. The independence platform has to be refashioned and rebuilt to meet the new realities. And other aspects of what emerges from Alba over the next 6 weeks will address that point. So these are the three.
See, the difficulty is that what we've had in Scottish politics is just about unionism and nationalism. We've been failing to tackle the underlying political agenda, whether it be Nicola Sturgeon's done a terrible job of hospitals, schools. I mean, she's been incompetent at every other level of politics. So she's not been competent at it. Let's see what my baby gorillas are saying. She's not been competent. Volume for question comes on later on the vid, does it, mate? Thanks. We vote to remain. Yeah, guys, that'll be up to you guys. I'm not here to tell you whether you're a nationalist or unionist. That's not what our channel does. What I will do is try and direct you onto better parties who are not as authoritarian and want you to have greater freedoms in Scotland. So Alex Salmond started a new party. Yeah, buddy, that's right. A legally recognised subject of national of the state and Commonwealth, either native or naturalised. Who are the citizens, Africans, Arabs, Muslims, Chinese, etc. Attract major trade and jobs would convince. The Carrollton for the new capital. The Carrollton. Brilliant. Glasgow Cross. The volume question come up later. Thanks, guys. Thank you for all your help. It's Davey, not Jim. Davey, not Jim. Somebody called me Jim. Lies, it's never sunny in Scotland. Talking Scotland forward. Don't like the sound of that. Taking Scotland forward, sorry. More globalist speak, yeah. Well, that's another thing we have to worry about. It's not just nationalism versus unionism. It's the globalists also who have infiltrated the nationalists and the unionists. So the separation is internal within that. Whether you're believing in an independent Scotland not tied down to the EU, or you believe in a union, a British union not tied down to the EU, or you're a globalist in this ever enveloping globalist shill, what do you call them? Who's the fellow? Soros led one world agenda. That it's not just Soros, so it's not just Soros being a wee nebbishy. He's probably in charge of orchestrating that on behalf of things like the Bilderberg Group. Looks like the guy from the TV. Oh man, what's that? TV show Shameless. That's quite funny. Choose Scots, not Scots. Scots, not Scots. Okay, right, let me get back to this then. Let's have a look at what Alex said. You guys are too funny.
Contributions that Alba can make to the independence debate rather than looking for seats in government, which we don't see as our role. Next question up.
Hey, come on, boys, find the volume. Oh, that's another good question.
Are going to be. They come from a range of experience. I think Chris has been instrumental in advancing the independence debate, getting people to think what happens if, and in a way, of course, that's been the genesis of the Alba Party, and in seeing and understanding that a secure majority in Parliament for independence is fundamental to the independence cause. So we welcome the contribution for Chris and from the other candidates that will be unveiling, and the candidates conference I think will be an exciting and very productive event a week tomorrow. In terms of people, I mean, look, this is a democracy. This is an election. Everybody has the right to stand. Everybody has the right to put forward.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Their point of view, and then the people obviously have the right to choose. So I see strength in that diversity of choice, and the people of Scotland will, in the elections, decide which way they want to go, both in terms of the constituency ballot, where the SNP is dominant at the present moment, and I hope it stays that way, but also in terms of the list ballot, where the opportunity is there to see really a substantial number more.
So in a nutshell, if you're an SNP supporter or you're going to support the SNP, vote for them on the constituency list, don't vote for them on the regional list. Either vote for the Alba Party, the Scottish Libertarian Party. If you can chop it up between them, then you'll get more nationalist MPs in rather than voting for the Scottish National Party on your second list, because you're not going to get any new MPs at the stage where the SNP are on the constituency list. You won't get any regional MPs. So if you're a nationalist, pick one, an Alba Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party.
Or independents supporting MSPs elected, and I hope the people choose to do that as well. So next question up, I think we're back to the broadcasters, Moo.
Oh, if Alex Salmond did stand against Nicola Sturgeon and no regional list MPs were selected, she could lose her seat. Oh, that would be just absolutely fantastic. Oh, definitely, Alex, stand against Nicola Sturgeon. Hope Sarwar stands against her as well. Oh, and if no regional list MPs are selected, then she's screwed.
Yes. And so next question up. Next question up, please.
Grendel-Upreed.
Eva Comrie's coming forward for the Equalities paper for next Saturday's candidates conference. That encompasses some questions over the hate crime bill, and I would. I think I shouldn't speak in advance of the paper and the conversations that occurred. But I mean, I sympathise with Eva Comrie's, and I suspect yours, question marks over that bill and doubts. And questions about the implementation. Don't
forget, my name's Daphne, and I'm a super straight lesbian. So that's why I'm growing my hair. I'm not going to get a sex change or anything, but I'm definitely a lesbian called Daphne Valentine now.
Assurances were given. Perhaps they require to be strengthened because there is a great deal of hurt and concern about aspects of the legislation and fears of how it might be interpreted. And over a range of issues, and I'm not going into any one in particular, but over a range of issues, let's just say that the Crown Office has substantial work to do in terms of demonstrating that there's an appropriate separation of powers between the political side of government legal advice and the implementation of the independent prosecutorial function. But the question, your direct question on the hate crime bill, that is encompassed in Eva's paper, but it is hugely important on this issue and indeed on the range of wider political issues that we get these debates as far as possible onto an entirely positive footing. And the one distinguishing feature, not the one distinguishing feature, a number of distinguishing features ALBA will have, but the one distinguishing feature of these is that I give...
when you don't have Humza useless.
Undertaking that everything that ALBA says and does in this election campaign and in its aftermath will be entirely positive, entirely constructive. It will try to put forward ideas in a manner which raises the debate to the level that we would expect when we're contemplating Scotland's future, Scotland's social structure, and Scotland as an independent country. It's absolutely vital that we conduct a debate in that fashion, and I absolutely pledge on behalf of the four ALBA candidates already declared, myself included, and the many more who will be declared over the next few days, that's exactly how we'll conduct ourselves and our approach to the independence and social debates in Scotland over this campaign, and if we are fortunate enough to be chosen by the people to represent part of our country in the Scottish Parliament. Now, next up.
Michael Blackley.
Oh, at last.
Thank you. Good afternoon. You've talked today about how your party is going to assist the SNP in helping to bring about this super majority. But is the truth not that your announcement today is actually going to be Nicola Sturgeon's worst nightmare? With everything that's gone on in recent weeks, the last thing that she wants to see is you showing up at the Scottish Parliament under a new banner. Even today, you've outlined not only Plan B, but it seems to be Plan C, Plan D and Plan E to independence. Are you not just going to be someone who exposes the divisions in the nationalist movement and is absolutely not what Nicola Sturgeon wants to be in the Scottish Parliament?
Well, the Alba Party will be putting forward...
Can you imagine he gets elected? Oh, that would be just great, yeah. I would definitely vote for whoever the Alba Party was with Alex Salmond as head of the list, the regional list there. That would just be absolutely great to have him back in chatting to Nicola Sturgeon.
The argument that people should vote for independence candidates, which means the SNP, in their constituency ballot. So we'll be expressing that support for the SNP in our literature for constituency ballots. We'll be saying vote Alba in the regional list ballot for the obvious point that this will return more independence supporting MSPs. As we win independence, is going to be, as it always has been, be able to touch a variety of opinions across Scottish society and a variety of sections of Scottish society. People in a range of viewpoints from a range of backgrounds and a range of political stances have to be comfortable with the independence concept. But more than being comfortable with it, they've got to be able to contribute to it, contribute to the independence process. Now, I think it's fundamentally stronger to have something which we didn't really have in 2014 until the last weeks of the campaign, when the grassroots movement really took off in a hugely substantial way. But for much of the early stages of the campaign, it was cast as an SNP campaign. It was an SNP against the then Cameron government. It was us forcing forward views of having a referendum against the wishes of the Scottish people. We didn't have that campaign wide enough and broad enough to encompass more support. So I see different strands of independence thinking in the Parliament as a great strength of achieving progress in the negotiations which should happen if that Parliament is elected with the UK government. I think the position of Boris Johnson will be fundamentally weaker if he has to say no to an entire Parliament representing an entire nation, as opposed to be able to cast it as just something which has been promoted by the SNP. So I see the range of independence viewpoints as a strength.
So if the SNP supporters do vote for the Alba Party and the Scottish Libertarian Party, that could bite into the Lib Lab Con Party as well. So if they vote for the SNP in the constituency list and then vote for the Alba Party, Scottish Libertarian Party on the regional list and do it sort of proportionally, then that will have a diminishing effect on the Labour Party, the Liberals and the Conservative Party on the regional list as well. So there'll be people not coming back to Parliament from the regional list.
I hope that Alba can contribute to that. In terms of how that's conducted, well, we commit ourselves, I commit Alba, to conducting an entirely positive campaign. We are not standing in the constituency ballot. We wish the SNP well in sweeping the country on the constituency ballot. But we have substantial arguments to offer, which we'll do in the regional list. And if we are successful in persuading people to back us, then that will result in what we described as the supermajority for independence in Scotland's Parliament. Now to the next question.
Chris Musin.
So I don't know if people in Scotland are going to be that politically attuned. I think people are just going to go in the box and go, oh, stuff it, I'll just vote for the SNP twice, and not be that politically advanced to actually not vote for the SNP in the regional list, but vote for one of the other Scottish national parties in the regional list. I think they may just say, oh, I'll just vote for both of them. So, and I don't think the SNP will promote it in the fact to vote for these other parties. So you're going to have a lot of people who are voting for SNP who are not politically attuned enough to know that they vote for the constituency list and not to vote for the regional list, to vote for the other party. And I think you're still going to see a lot of people still voting for the SNP in the regional list, and they won't get any more seats for them because they're not that politically attuned or not that politically observant, shall I say, not paying enough attention to the politics.
Mr. Sam Christmason from the Scottish Sun. Recent polling has underlined how unpopular you were in your heyday. Two pots think of you unfavourably. Doesn't this show that you're discredited now and that it's time to step away from the public eye rather than into it?
Yes, the campaign is just beginning. And who'll decide who's elected will be the people of Scotland. My view is if you're able to put forward a positive platform and a positive stance, then people will rally to that banner. That's the hope I have. As I said, we are planting a saltire on the sand, a saltire on the hill today for all to see. And we're hoping that the people rally to that cause. That will be decided by the people. We'll either get support or we won't. I believe we can get support. But obviously, one of the things I'm going to relish about the next 6 weeks is that I'll be able to talk about what I've wanted to talk about all my life, which is the potential of Scotland as an independent country. I'll be able to talk about the positive ideas that we can bring forward to contribute to that process, to the understanding of Scotland's potential. And all of us will, as ALBA candidates, will have the joy of being able to articulate that cause. It's a cause that's been dearest to my heart, all of not just my political life, but all of my life, full stop. So that is the subject territory which I haven't been able to speak about for 3 years now. And I want to speak about now, and I'm going to speak about over the next 6 weeks. And then we'll let the people judge whether or not that's gaining support. And now on to the next question.
Hi, Libby Brooks from The Guardian. We've been reporting on significant concerns that the recent Holyrood inquiries and the way that they've played out have had a chilling effect on people coming forward with sexual harassment complaints. Do you have any concerns that by standing and inevitably keeping all of this in the spotlight, you are going to compound that chilling effect?
Well, I wasn't responsible for the way that the Holyrood inquiry was conducted, and that's a matter for those who conducted it. What I'm responsible for saying, as far as I'm concerned, with 2 court cases, 2 judges, 1 jury, 3 inquiries, because it wasn't just the parliamentary inquiry, there was the Hamilton inquiry, and of course the Dunlop recommendations have to be taken into account. These have to be accepted by everyone. The 2 outstanding matters, which we've mentioned earlier, the civil case in the court, and also the report to the police on criminal matters concerning the leak to the record, which everyone agreed had a dreadful effect on everyone concerned back in August 2018. These are things that came out of the recommendations of the Holyrood inquiry. I thought there was many things in that inquiry which were very positive, and I thought the recommendations which were unanimous, then presumably people can accept that these should be taken on board.
What are you guys saying? Oh no, that's the thing, mate. That's not my baby gorillas. It's theirs. Independence, blah blah blah. The Scottish people, blah blah. People of Scotland, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's about it. Nothing on policy. Labour's finished. Yeah. I don't think they're doing very well. I think the Labour Party are in a political death spiral. Deep fry the lot of them. Oh, blame can vote SNP. They hate white people. Avoid. Stutter. Don't repeal the hate bill, not getting my vote. Yeah, so vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party, buddy. They'll repeal the hate speech bill. I think the Tories as well, possibly the UK Reform Party as well. So there's a number of people that will reform. I think are on that. SNP are a Scottish Globalist Party. That's right, Daniel. Why can't they build the country 60% workforce? Work for the government. Exactly. That's exactly right, Zep. There has to be a reduction in the public sector, 100%. So Alex started a new party. Yeah, buddy, that's right. A country's citizens whose citizens. Right, I think we're down. I think we're caught up there. Right, Ken, let's continue.
But my view is we have to accept what has been said by the courts, by the judges, by the jury, by the inquiries, and we have to move on. And in this campaign, I'll be moving on to talk about the future of Scotland, about how we develop not just the independent supermajority, but confidence independence is the way forward for our country. That to me is the contribution that I'll be able to help Alba make in the campaign. Only a contribution, because we can only conduct our campaign, but our campaign will be conducted in an entirely positive fashion. Next question.
Greg Russell.
Hello, Alex. Greg Russell from The National here. How does your position on IndyRef 2 differ from the SNP's, in essence? And do you want the other pro-Indy parties to unite behind you?
Well, Greg, I'm putting forward Alba's point of view, and I think everyone else has a total entitlement to stand on the platform they wish. That's the essence of an election. Give people the choice, and that's the case for each constituency ballot, and it's the case for each regional list ballot. So, I mean, I've read obviously the SNP's 11-point plan for achieving independence. I suppose Alba has a 1-point plan about how the mechanism by which you can increase the chances of delivering independence in this coming Parliament, and that is to trust the Parliament as the key body which achieves the legitimacy by which you can gain and win in negotiations with a UK government. Now, I think that is going to depend on what people put into the Parliament, but people can be absolutely certain that every Alba member of the Scottish Parliament will live and breathe independence, will see independence as an absolute priority, will take an entirely constructive view to building that independent supermajority, that effective coalition, which will put whoever's negotiating independence in as strong a position as possible in facing down Boris Johnson in negotiations. So you can rely on Alba to be backing independence at each and every opportunity in every way possible. But the crucial aspect is to have the legitimacy of a Parliament speaking for a people, which gives Scotland the upper hand in these negotiations. Next question up.
Peter Smith.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. Salmond.
Oh, here's me,
just
boy,
looking at the way that
everyone's racist, Peter. Everyone's racist. Oh, don't worry, he's a bully. He's a bully. Oh, look, his hair, got a haircut.
You're going to be lining up your candidates in every area on the regional list. It reads to me that your party is actually more of a threat to the Scottish Greens. And is it the fact that your
Great, even better. Even get rid of the Greens. Moby and the Marxists. Get rid of them. Look at that haircut. What a geek.
Outcome would be that Nicola Sturgeon would be dependent on you after this election to go to Boris Johnson and ask for that second independence referendum. And I know that you were keen to avoid the psychodrama of making the last few months about a battle between you and Nicola Sturgeon. But is it not just a fact that you standing is now going to be, in many people's eyes, Alex Salmond taking on Nicola Sturgeon?
Well,
what a stupid question.
Obviously, one poll is one poll, but it does give an indication of where we stand in Scottish politics. If we take that Survation survey published yesterday, I think that gave the SNP 67 seats, all one on the constituency section, none on the list. I think it gave the Greens another 11. If Alba is able to make a contribution,
the independence referendum.
Poll is one poll, but it does give an indication of where we stand in Scottish politics. If we take that Survation survey published yesterday, I think that gave the SNP 67 seats, all one on the constituency section, none on the list. I think it gave the Greens another 11. If Alba is able to make a contribution, that might take the independents supporting MSPs in the Scottish Parliament, of which I hopefully will be one. But
yeah, I definitely vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party. Don't vote for the Greens. Jeez, the Greens. Moby and the Marxists.
There'll be Alba MSPs to perhaps 90 out of the 129. Now, that is a powerful position to have, not a weak position, but a powerful position. And it's a powerful position that goes beyond party because it's a parliament. This is...
So if you're a unionist and you better come out and vote for this election, because this is going to be a sort of mini referendum. Vote for the UK Independence Party, UK Reform Party, or UKIP if you want to keep it in, or even to the Conservative Party. But don't vote for... Oof.
Much too important.
This is going to be a big referendum for this, so all the unionists better come out, and I would vote for the UK Reform Party if I was a unionist and wanted to prevent this happening.
To get lost in personalities. This is an issue about the future of Scotland, about how to construct that independence majority, and I will cooperate. I will argue positively with everyone and contribute positively in order to build that independence coalition. And what I think is crucial, an independence supermajority in the Parliament. Not a narrow thing, not dependent on the whims and each budget of will we, won't we, in terms of a vote, but a secure majority that the Parliament will be trusting. It will become a parliamentary matter how the process of independence is negotiated with the UK government. That is so much more of an advantage in making it party against party, Tories against SNP, Prime Minister against First Minister. To have a reliable supermajority at the back of the First Minister in facing down Westminster, I think it would be crucial in gaining an advantage for Scotland and having the legitimacy that's required to enable the country to move forward in these independence negotiations. Next question up.
Yeah, it will be difficult for Boris if there's a number of other parties who are also voting for it, wanting to vote for independence, to say no to a second referendum. It will be very, very difficult for them. I hope there's not more Greens. Oh, God, man, can you imagine more of Moby and the Marxists? Somebody called it, one of my baby gorillas called it the Tranny Party, which obviously I would be a member of. But we all know they're just a bunch of Marxists kidding on their environmentalists.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask two questions, if possible. Mr. Salmond, there have been reports that your own legal team were overheard describing you as a bully, a nightmare to work with,
No, I missed that. A bully. Well, everything seems to be a bully. I've never talked to Peter Adams before, and he's just shouting bully at me as well. So everything can just be, anybody can say, oh, you're a bully. I've never met the guy before. Never laid eyes on the guy. Never seen him, and he's coming and shouting at me when I'm having a relatively civil conversation with Mr. In fact, it was a very civil conversation. It was just a wee bit difficult because he was a wee bit far away. I had to project myself, but it wasn't the most amicable situation where rather than sit across the table, I had to, because he was a wee bit further away, I had to ask him questions. When he was closer, I lowered my voice. But it was still a relatively civil conversation, even though Mr. Sawa wasn't answering any questions. But he jumped in and starts calling me a racist. Racist! Oh, you're racist! Racist! Oh, you're a bully! And I never said anything. So anybody now can call anybody a bully or a racist or anything else with no context. So you're going to literally have to tape any interaction that you've got with somebody else to stop them from actually just making these arbitrary grudge comments. So you're going to have to now tape everything so that you can actually then say, well, there, I didn't do that. So just like I can prove with Sawar the other day there, I didn't say anything racist to him. And that Diddy Adams just jumped on and started shouting, oh, racist, like an absolute clown. Absolute buffoon of a boy. Hold on, guys. I don't know if this is going to cut me off when I'm doing this. Let me try.
Nasty person. In court, it was admitted that your behaviour could have been better. You've faced numerous allegations of sexual harassment and assault, albeit that you were cleared of. Why would anyone want to vote for someone like you? And my second question is, As an outsider, some people might see what's going on here and think that your political career has failed and you are now desperate to stay relevant at any cost, even if it means trashing the party that you spent most of your life working for. Is that a fair assessment of what's going on?
Well, let me take your first point first. There have been two court cases, as I said, one in the Court of Session, which is the highest civil court in Scotland, one in the High Court, which is the highest criminal.
I want to speak again against this woman. This is a horrendously bad question. So a guy's been now found not guilty in a court of law, yet, like Nicola Sturgeon, she's prosecuting him again. Oh, right, so a number of people have said X, Y, and Z, which when it's going through the legal process, has been found not guilty in any of it, yet they're still trying to persecute him. I mean, what a disgusting move.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to ask two questions, if possible. Mr. Salmond, there have been reports that your own legal team were overheard describing you as a bully, a night.
So, but I mean, that Peter Adams said I was a bully, and he's never met me. Never met him. Never met the guy. So I don't know how he's got his information from that. Who's said that I'm a bully? Yeah, I've not really talked to many people, so I don't know what the situation is there. But anyway, so you can throw around the accusation of being a bully to anybody. Oh, you're a bully, you're a racist, you're this, you're that. Without any context. They don't have to provide context, and they don't have any liability for actually lying or exaggerating or still bringing forward allegations with no context. Terrible reporting.
To work with a nasty person.
Oh, it's politics. I can't imagine anybody being nasty in politics. Usually.
In court, it was admitted that your behaviour could have been better.
Okay, well, I think I would say my behaviour could have been better at times.
You've faced numerous allegations of sexual harassment and assault.
And all found not guilty.
Albeit that you were cleared of. Why would anyone want to vote for someone like you? And my second question is, as an outsider, some people might see what's going on here and think that your political career has failed and you are...
Hardly. Alex Salmond, the ex-First Minister of Scotland's political thing has failed. He may have failed to win the referendum, but I would hardly say that Alex Salmond is a failed politician. Come on. That's absolutely ridiculous. Alex Salmond with Nigel Farage are probably the two outstanding politicians, certainly in my lifetime. That's crazy questioning there.
Are now desperate to stay relevant.
Well, I think Alex Salmond's got other motivations, to be honest with you, but I don't know.
At any cost, even if it means trashing the party that you spent most of your life working for.
I've got questions of whether or not the SNP do need to get trashed anyway.
Is that a fair assessment of what's going on?
Well, let me take your first point first. There have been two court cases, as I said, one in the Court of Session, which is the highest civil court in Scotland, one in the High Court, which is the highest criminal court in Scotland. There's been two judges, there's been a jury, there's been 3 inquiries. Now, as you know, I'm saying we should accept the results of these court judgments and accept the results of a jury. Most fair-minded people do that. In fact, not just more fair-minded people, it's the essence of a justice system. So I think that should apply to everyone. And I'm going to say that all of these things have to be accepted. And in terms of the inquiries, I'm prepared to accept the judgments of these inquiries that I didn't agree with, as well as pursuing the conclusions that I do agree with, hence the ongoing civil and also the report to the police. These all came out of the inquiries, which I'm saying that everybody should just accept in order to move on. Secondly, as I've been saying, our intention in this campaign for the Alba Party, and this is what we'll do, is to put forward an entirely positive case for independence for Scotland. We are not challenging the SNP on the constituency ballot. That is a deliberate choice, because the SNP, we believe, will hopefully sweep the country on an independence platform or referendum platform on the constituency ballot. But the list section, the likelihood is the SNP will get very few or perhaps even no MSPs at all. And we'll be back to the situation.
What do you guys say? Terrified of him winning. They're terrified. Bully, racist, fascist, Nazi, buzzwords. That's it. That's all. They really tried to do this and destroy my reputation in the papers as well. Oh, you're this, you're that. It's honestly, it's just pathetic. I would have ripped them apart on there. Honestly, I cannot wait to actually wait. You see what I do. Boom, forget about it. Ross Gear was on Sky earlier, crying like a little baby. He knows the Gardeners winning are screwed. now because Alex Salmond's Alba party. Which I think will be great. I think the less greens the better, to be honest with you. Adolf Schilling, hang on. I know, what a great name, Adolf. The only good this can come is a split in the SNP vote. It won't be a split, Robbie. If they get hive off a proportion of the regional votes from the SNP to this Alba party or to the Scottish Libertarian Party, that will increase the number and the representation of nationalists in the Scottish Parliament. Her face looks quite long. Her face looks quite long. Watermelons, watermelons, green in the red on the outside. Green on the outside, red in the middle. Marxists. They're just Marxists kidding on the environmentalists. Hooray, the Guardian, hooray, the Guardian. Independence, blah blah blah. That's we're up to no with my baby Guerilla.
They suggested in that Salvation survey or demonstrated at the last election where up to 1 million independence votes will effectively be lost in the regional list section. Now Alba and indeed others are putting forward ideas of how to tackle that, of how to solve that and how to stop the wasted votes. Now that reinforces not just the cause in the case of independence because of the positive way it's being put forward, it also reinforces the independence majority in the Scottish Parliament. And I think it's absolutely fundamental if we're going to succeed in negotiating the independence of our country that we can rely on that handsome, substantial supermajority of independence supporting MSPs, because it is fundamentally more difficult for a Westminster government to take on a parliament and a people as opposed to just casting it as a party v party dispute. Everything that Alba does in this election will be a positive contribution to building that independence supermajority. The next question.
Thanks, Chris Green from the Eye here. Two campaign-related questions. One, obviously there are TV debates already being announced by the broadcasters. Would you expect to be given a podium there as the leader of the party? And also, will you be touring the country as part of this campaign yourself? Can people expect to see Alex Salmond?
Well, they limit the amount of people. I mean, the London mayoral debate was only Sadiq Khan versus a Conservative fellow. Seems like quite a nice fellow, but there was only two. Then there's 20 candidates. So rather than being Democrat and having all 20 candidates on, they only got two because this is the control of the media. All these people know each other. So they all hang about to each other and drink, and that's why they can coordinate to go after the Guerilla TV channel. But we're not called the Guerilla TV channel because we're going away anywhere.
Popping up in their constituency.
Well, good questions, Chris. I mean, we'll be making representations to the broadcasting authorities. I think we'll have to demonstrate our list of candidates. The candidate deadline is next Wednesday, and we're looking for support today. We're looking for people to come forward if they wish to associate with Alba, and that's be advertised on our site. We are looking for people and recruits, and we've got a very, very sharp timescale, not just to get that list of candidates in, but also to found a new political force, a new political party, and take that case to the people. We're well aware of the shortness of timescale, and therefore, once we've done that, if we demonstrate we have got people of calibre, that we have a breadth for support, we're making a serious challenge in the list section of the ballot, it then would be in a good position to go to the broadcasters and say, look, it would be fair to hear what we've got to say. But we will see if we could demonstrate that breadth of support by next Wednesday, and then we'll take matters from there. As far as going around the country is concerned, we'll have candidates, ALBA candidates across the country. Obviously, I'll do my best to get round, given the restrictions that we all face at the present moment. And some of these have been lifted for the election campaign, but not all, as you're well aware. But we'll try to conduct a grassroots campaign as well as a social media campaign as best we can, given the rules and regulations which all of us must obey at the present moment. On to the next question.
Jason McCann.
Fescal Alex agus Tapalef. Jason McCann here from iScot magazine. Congratulations, and my question would be pertaining to the route to independence. We have been speaking a great deal in the independence movement about the creation of a supermajority, which we know by the arithmetic of the politics and certainly by the numbers in the polls that this is entirely plausible. And I believe, given the right conditions, it can happen. But we've also heard from the British government that there would be talk of simply refusing this. And in light of what has happened in Catalonia, and as you know, I'm in Dublin myself, Britain has an atrocious record with dealing with democratic situations that it cannot win. Faced with the intransigence of the British government, would you have a plan B for Britain doing what Britain does and saying no?
Well, thanks for the question. This is the very essence of the ALBA Party's argument as regards our contribution to achieving independence. We think that one of the ingredients, one of the essential prerequisites, is that the independence support, not that the government's own majority for its own programme, but the independent support within the Parliament is broadly based and is numerically dominant. That has to be a supermajority. Otherwise, the political party is looking over its shoulder at the array of unionist parties and are basically facing two fronts. That is to say, facing the UK government in negotiations and facing the unionist parties in the Parliament. If there is also a breadth of independence supporting MSPs behind the independence policy, behind the independence strategy, behind the independence negotiations, then that fundamentally alters the balance. It allows you to use statecraft. The most important thing to understand in the history of the SNP will tell you, as we evolved in the Scottish National Party, when it evolved the various ways and routes to independence, from a mandate to negotiate, from getting 36 seats at Westminster to latterly the referendum policy under a Section 30. These were instruments, these were tactics to achieve the strategic objective. The strategic objective of the SNP and its history, and the strategic objective of the ALBA Party, is to achieve independence for Scotland. The democratic legitimacy by which you build that independence is something that the Parliament can demonstrate. Once the Parliament demonstrates that, then whether your tactics are legal, international, or pressure, or peaceful street demonstrations, the whole array of
another 4 years of Nicola Sturgeon, oh my God.
Tactics come into play. And as long as they're democratic and peaceful, they're entirely legitimate. As long as they're backed by the Parliament, they'll have that necessary parliamentary seal of approval. That's exactly why having a supermajority in the Parliament counts for so much. And as you rightly say, if we look at history, it would tell us that United Kingdom governments, by and large, although there were some exceptions, but by and large did not, at first blush, concede the independence of many, many places across the globe. But nonetheless, I think 50 countries have become independent from Westminster since the Second World War. So countries have achieved their independence in peaceful fashion in a variety of ways, and that can be the case for Scotland as well. It can be achieved democratically by consent, but a fundamental prerequisite is to have
not really independent if you're getting governed by the European Union now, is it, Alex?
That supermajority of MSPs in the Parliament. That is something we didn't have previously. We can have now. The elections offer us the opportunity, and I think that's entirely constructive and positive for the independence case.
This is another reason as well. If you're not into the globalist agenda, which the SNP and potentially Alex has been as well as a globalist, you should vote for either the Scottish Libertarian Party or the UK Reform Party, or UKIP as well. UKIP, I think, will be standing. I don't know who else will be. I don't know if the Scottish Socialist Party are for being outside the EU. I think they might, as far as I'm aware, but I've not got that confirmed. But there might be a number of parties who are not globalist in their agenda. Certainly, Alex and Nicola Sturgeon are both in the globalist agenda.
It may change the essential balance between Scotland and Westminster.
It's Ewan Petrie from STV News here. Do you think women will vote for you given that you admitted inappropriate behaviour during your time as First Minister?
Well, the range of candidates, Ewan, from the ALBA party will demonstrate in full measure our commitment to equality, to the role of women in Scottish society, and I think the ALBA party's appeal will be substantial. But we'll see over the next 6 weeks in terms of how people respond to the ALBA party's message. We have no compunction about knowing the scale of the challenge. It's not something that's often done, which is launching a political party in a 6-week period, trying to achieve parliamentary representation in that period of time. That is a difficult task and a difficult challenge, but it's one that's in the hands of the people, and it'll be in the hands of the people over the next 6 weeks, and they'll be the ones to judge. But I think what you'll see over the next few days in terms of the calibre of candidates that come forward, and you've seen 2 examples of that today, that we'll be able to present an array of candidates which show that we have a broad base of support among our candidates, and we think we'll find that response among the people as well from all sections of Scottish society, and with a variety of points of views. ALBA will be saying things which appeal across society, and we think we'll get a good response. Next question.
Hello, Alec. Congratulations on your new party. I'm Bob Costello from Dundee, and I and others ran the Yes Bus team during the last referendum campaign. After the campaign, we kind of thought that things would continue, there would be some kind of a campaign ongoing. We discovered that was not the case. In fact, we had a huge amount of obstruction from local SNP.
I don't think that Nicola Sturgeon is an actual, as she's already said, she's not a nationalist. So she's a globalist shill and an SJW. So she's an SJW globalist shill, which is the thing, the globalist Marxist cancer that they try and drop in. They're doing it in America, they're doing it in Scotland as well. So she's just following this shill of being a globalist, and basically a puppet of the globalists. Never mind, and obviously bringing in this racist identitarian Marxism in the form of SJW legislation. And I'm not surprised that this guy is not getting any sort of feedback, because Nicola Sturgeon is not a nationalist.
SNP party. I just want to make sure, Alec, that after this last 6.5 years of stagnation, is the new party, is it going all out for independence, and is not going to be this carrot dangling just before an election and then never hearing about independence, actually during the election.
That's another thing as well. Because the domestic policies are that bad with Nicola Sturgeon, she's completely incompetent. And in fact, Andy Neil destroyed her when they were sitting down having a one-to-one conversation. He absolutely picked her apart. So they can't keep just saying, we're going to get independence next year, next 4 years. This is going to be their last one. just the same as Boris is increasingly imposing authoritarianism. And I think the UK Reform Party, a lot of the Tories are going to switch to the UK Reform Party. And I said that Nigel's going to do very well. Obviously, it's Tim Rice now. Are going to do very well because a lot of people are pissed off with the authoritarianism that's coming out of the Conservative Party. And they might get a bloody nose in me as well.
Campaign. So what's the situation, Alec?
The Alba Party lives and breathes independence. And, everything we do will be designed to help gain Scottish independence, to see it as the overwhelming priority. We've got ideas to contribute to economic recovery from the pandemic. That's an absolute...
Alex, here's an idea. Why don't you give the small entrepreneurs stage 1, stage 2 funding so they can get the projects up and running and create enterprises and growth? There's an idea for you, because that didn't seem, even under your government, to be happening either. Certainly not under Wee Nippy's. Wee Nippy's too busy wasting money on a tycoon. So Rome was built in a day. Well, no, it certainly wasn't. We need new politicians. You certainly do, buddy. Will build Scotland and not whine about independence. Yeah, that's right. We need to get people who are going to be certainly focused on the domestic issues just now, guys. We voted to remain in the UK. That's right, bud. Well, I would suggest that it needs to be slightly longer. What we could do is have a referendum on Devo Max, which would be a good interim. I think that they would be successful in getting the Devo Max settlement, even from the unionists. So I think we could get more Devo Max, especially if Nicola Sturgeon wasn't running it. Somebody competent was running it. I think we could get Devo Max. Ridicule is a man's potent weapon. Yeah, that's right. Her face looks fun. Lies. You guys kill me.
A crucial situation at the present moment, and we have to plan for that. Even though we're not out of the woods in the pandemic itself, we have to plan for that economic recovery. We've got some substantial ideas to put forward to assist in that process. We've also got ideas in terms of constructing
funding for start-up businesses, high growth start-up businesses. The Scottish enterprise and all them could be scrapped and just give it to the entrepreneurs. All the money is wasted on these bloody civil servants.
The new independence platform, which will offer forward to meet the new realities, the new political realities that we are now in. This is not 2014, this is 2021. But everything Alba does to build that supermajority for independence will to see independence as the priority, and will try to support the moves for independence. It's something we'll live and breathe before the election campaign, during the election campaign, and if we are successful, then within the Scottish Parliament itself. Next question.
Connor. Hi, Alex. It's Connor Matchett from The Scotsman. Wanted to ask you...
Oh, that's that last. I know how to pronounce your name. Connor Matchett.
If possible, how would you respond to concerns raised by presumably opposition parties and other human rights watchers about your links to Russia via your TV show on RT? And secondly, who's funding this party? Is it going to be crowdfunders, or have you got backers from elsewhere?
Well, in terms of funding, Connor, I mean, all our funding will be declared, but we're rather hoping there might be an influx of funds coming from announcing our existence as a political party. So we're hoping there'll be an appeal out on that very subject, and we're hoping we'll get a substantial response. It'll be very much in the hands of the people. But when there's been appeals in the national movement before, then people who can see the progress that the national movement can gain from initiatives have been very generous giving their funds. And of course, all our funds, like all the political parties in this campaign, will be openly declared. As far as the show on RT is concerned, obviously that show will be suspended for the course of the election campaign. I'll be intending to be a candidate. Now,
the Guerilla TV channel has got more views than Alex Salmond's channel. So let that sink in. Even though that I do a wee bit of edgy sort of stuff on it. The Guerilla TV channel has got more views than the Alex Salmond channel.
Part of the election rules. That show, of course, is independently produced by Slange Media. There's no editorial control from RT whatsoever. I think the show is justified on its merits. I'm sure you watched yesterday's programme, Connor, and you found Professor Hugh Montgomery giving one of the most emotional interviews I've ever seen as a huge force and specialist in academia in terms of genealogy, but also a practitioner in the wards in a busy London hospital in intensive care. When he spoke about the pressures on health service staff and how they've had to endure over the last year with things happening in their own lives. It was an extraordinary interview. I don't think anybody watching shows like that could credibly accuse the programmes that we've produced of having any secret agenda apart from exploding issues of the day in a fashion which I think gets across the issues and the people and stories behind the issues extremely well. But you watch it for yourself and judge if you can see any secret political agenda behind the programme yesterday. And everything we've done has been independently produced and subject to the same regulations as television shows. But it gives me the opportunity to say that the show, obviously, because I'm a candidate, will be suspended for the next 6 weeks. Next question.
Hi, Alex. This is Louise Wilson from Holyrood Magazine. I just want to ask, how confident are you that, given the last few years, you'll have the trust of the people of Scotland? And will you be putting your name on all ballots next to the name Alba Scotland?
Yeah, well, obviously our list is still to be submitted, but I think you'll find when we submit our list of candidates, which will be a minimum of 4 from each area of Scotland, you'll find that it's balanced not just by gender, but balanced in a range of ways. So it demonstrates support from all aspects of Scottish society, which is so fundamental in terms of gathering confidence behind the independence cause. We believe that can be done without the party having artificial regulation, because it just needs acquirement and will to do it. But of course, by our deeds we shall be known, and we'll see next week if we can bring that forward as a list of candidates that people will look at and say, yeah, by gender, by a whole range of characteristics, this is a list which represents the people of Scotland. In terms of confidence, well, we're 6 weeks away from an election. We're hoisting the flag. We're sticking our saltire on the hill. We're appealing to people to rally for support. But this will be up to the people. I mean, we believe if we campaign positively, constructively, we stay on the independence case, we argue about the supermajority and the importance of it, we contribute our ideas to economic recovery from the pandemic, and we offer concepts which might help construct the new independence platform that's desperately needed if we're going to gain and sustain the confidence of the people in the independence concept. If we can do that, then I believe that people will rally to that standard. But the next 6 weeks will tell if we can both gain and maintain the trust of support enough to elect Alba representatives to the Scottish Parliament. We are in the hands of the Scottish people, and that's exactly how it should be. And next up.
Hello there, Alex. First of all, congratulations for emerging from your...
Where's our invite? Why have you not going to invite everybody? The dog seems to have had an invite rather than us, the Guerilla TV channel.
Nightmare. For the last 2 years, I've been batting off people telling me that Scotland is a one-party state, unlike Boris Johnson and the Tories with their 80 majority, even though the SNP is a minority party. And I can hear by the tone of the right-wing newspaper journalists that they are determined to argue that a multi-party state is just as unhealthy. And I'm very sorry indeed to have heard some of the questions put to you, but these are the same people who refuse to look at the...
These are the same people that just smeared me in the papers. That's who they are. Over lies of a guy who's never met me, who interrupted me doing an interview, who said I was racist and a bully when I was having a relatively good chat with Anasawa, who wasn't answering these questions. What about children being abused in Glasgow? Yeah, they're allowed to say anything they want and get away with it, not held to account. So they can just lie and lie and lie and lie. And I think they have to be held accountable.
Democratic deficit.
I'm all for a free press, but if you're lying about somebody, you have to be held accountable.
That Scotland endures and has endured since 1707. My question is on those lines, and that is the antagonism that people like me have had to handle from the Scottish National Party, which has moved from an all-encompassing, we take all sorts party of people from all walks of life, to one in which I, as a private citizen, a member of the public, choosing to use the internet to communicate, is branded as cybermat, and we are alienated. And a great deal of SNP, MPs and MSPs block the very people who vote for them. In other words, they have arrived at a stage where they think the people are the problem.
So this is under Hums Are Useless and me nippy. Remember I told you that inside the SNP there's meant to be this gay cabal, which I don't know anything about, but there's meant to be this gay mafia. And these are all globalist shills, not for the people, as this gentleman's pointing out, but for themselves.
You will be, and the Alba Party will be relying on the same means of communication, particularly the internet. How are you going to discipline your candidates not to get frustrated by dissent, which may be positive dissent in what you and I would like to see, and that is a truly democratic society?
Gareth, can I say just how much I welcome your question and to see you on screen. For those who don't know, among his many other achievements in his working career, Gareth was the founder and inspiration for the Scottish Youth Theatre, which has given so much to so many youngsters emerging in Scottish society, and it's a wonderful thing to have done, Gareth. And your blog is good as well, incidentally, but that is an outstanding achievement that should be recognised. In terms of your question, we have some advantages. Alba's not out to become a governing party. We're not out to go into administration. And I say this just because as somebody who's been First Minister...
Well, I would prefer the Scottish Libertarian Party to go into administration rather than the SNP, for example.
Who's been in government. I know that the exigencies of being in government and of holding the discipline...
The Scottish Libertarian Party, because they might actually take government. If you're not really want to be in government, then what's the point? What's going to be the underlying policy?
Of necessary discipline of government can sometimes seem over restrictive to people, but it's part of the process of being able to guarantee votes. Now, obviously, Alba is in the fortunate position that we're not intending to be a governing party, and therefore, over and above our fundamental aims, which are being outlined today and specified in our literature, that is to build an economically successful, environmentally responsible and socially just, social democratic society and an independent Scotland.
Yeah, definitely not voting for you. So you just lost me at social democratic.
There is a latitude which we'll want to allow in points of view. Every political party has to decide where the line should be drawn between matters of policy and matters of conscience. Now, it may be, and I probably agree with this, that line has been far too far in one direction of late.
To the left.
You have to have a toleration of ideas, and particularly on matters of conscience, which are crucial to people. A political party should not dictate the individual conscience. So if it's
and they take what they can and can't say and do what they can and can't do. Scotland endures £2,000 per head, nearly 50% on some kind of state benefit. Well, no, it can't be 50%, Theresa, surely. Nearly 50% some kind of state benefit. I'm really sick of the victim mentality. I like to see George Galloway in the Parliament ramming it up them. I would actually like to see George although he's a mad communist, I would actually like to see George in the Parliament, as long as it was only George and not a group of them to get their tentacles into it. But George Galloway and himself, yeah, I'd like to see it. Oh, even Tommy Sheridan, I actually like Tommy, as I said, although I don't agree with him. But we really need to come away from this far loony left ideology and get it back to the centre of politics. All that we're doing is talking about bad ideas from the left. And we need to get back to the centre, or even like the UK Reform Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party on the right, and a libertarian centre, not an authoritarian centre like the neoliberals, which covers the illiberal, liberal, undemocratic Democrats, the social democrats, which he's talking about, the globalists. All of these are globalists, and the Christian Democrats and the Tory party. I like it. For real. We have nothing but independence. Davey, you don't kiss ass. I don't kiss anybody's ass. I'm not a bully, but I don't kiss anybody's ass. Standards, well said. Sick independence. Right, here we go.
Of its members or its representatives, unless it's absolutely required in terms of saving the party from a vital vote or whatever that. Now, Alba's in the fortunate position, we're not in that position, and therefore we want ideas to come forward from a range of people and a range of aspects of society, from the trade unions, from business, from working class voices, which would be are badly needed, in my view, in parliamentary politics, and we'll be supplying some of these in our candidates list, which I think is absolutely vital, so people can look at their parliament not just from a gender, not just from a minority point of view, not just people with disabilities. These are absolutely crucial, but a range of people across society, because if we're going to have an independence parliament, it's going to have to be able to take forward it in a fashion that everybody in Scotland can look at that parliament and say, well, I might disagree or agree about something or this thing or the next thing, but I tell you what, I can see within that parliament voices which I can identify with as speaking to my concerns and my realities. So Alba will try to contribute to that. Obviously, the contribution will depend on the votes of the people, but we'll certainly put forward that, and we'll certainly not try to unnecessarily restrict our members of parliament beyond the fundamental aims of achieving a prosperous, just, environmentally responsible and independent country. Beyond that, then I think ideas for the party in our position, with a party with our contribution to make, it would be an extremely good thing. Next question.
Hi, Mr. Salmond. It's Dan Sanderson here from The Telegraph. I just want to ask you, you've used terms like effective coalition with the SNP, but surely that would require some degree of cooperation between the party leaders. So will you be reaching out to Nicola Sturgeon to try and build bridges there? And also, you've spoken about a supermajority, obviously, in the Parliament, but there isn't a supermajority for independence in the country. I think if you got 90. If there was 90 pro-independent MSPs, that would be 70% of the seats at Holyrood, and obviously there's nothing like that in the country. So how would you respond to the accusation that this is an attempt to sort of game the electoral system, and doesn't it risk lessening support for the institution of the Scottish Parliament if you have a Parliament that is so unrepresentative of the views of the country? Thanks.
Well, Dan, can I say to you that the D'Hondt system has critics, of course, as any list system has critics. Most people, I think, would judge that proportional representation has been more successful in representing the views of Scotland than, for example, first past the post at Westminster does the views of the United Kingdom. Boris Johnson has his near 100 majority on a a minority vote at the present moment, as you're well aware. So any political system has its critics, but generally speaking, people would argue a list system, a d'Hondt system, in terms of representing a country and giving fair representation, is superior to a first-past-the-post system. But I know that the Daily Telegraph doesn't question the legitimacy of Boris Johnson or his government. Others might well do, but the Daily Telegraph is not among them. If I could put it this way, my dad was a keen golfer. And if I got into the rough when I was playing with him, he always used to tell me that I had to play the ball as it lies. I might not like being in the rough, but I had to play the ball as it lies. With the d'Hondt system, with the Scottish Parliament elections, we have a system that was agreed. And all parties, not just the Alba party, have to play the ball as it lies. We have to make the best of the system. There is nothing to stop the unionist parties, and I think some people are arguing that they should form a unionist coalition on the list and try to put things forward. That is their perfect democratic entitlement to do. Similarly with the other independence list parties, they have a perfect democratic entitlement to put forward their point of view, and ultimately the people will judge who's got the best argument and who merits representation. Now, in terms of the first part of your question, let me just emphasise, I don't foresee Alba as a party which is going into government. I don't think that'll be a role in the Scottish Parliament. I see Alba in coalition or supporting the government as part of the government itself. I don't see that the Alba MSPs have ambitions to be government ministers. What I see Alba as doing is providing that supermajority for independence in the Parliament, which is crucial. That's not a coalition, that is contributing to an independence majority which will reinforce the legitimacy of the Parliament speaking for the people. I see Alba as contributing ideas for economic recovery. These are badly needed because we are going to emerge from this pandemic. When we emerge from it, and we're going to be hit by an economic maelstrom of immense proportions, so we have to have the measures and contribution of ideas what these measures should be. In addition, this election campaign is going to have many coming forward. Alba will make a contribution to that. And thirdly, as I mentioned, it seems to be very, very important for the independence movement to bring forward the new independence platform. It takes account of the fact that we're 7 years on from the last referendum. The world has changed very, very substantially, and the independence platform must meet these changes as it points the way to Scotland's future. That's a contribution rather than a coalition, Dan. Next question.
I've not got as good a setup as me, have they?
Hi, this is Andrew McDonald from Political Europe. So, hi, Alex.
They've not got as good a setup as me. And mine's only going to get better. Can't hardly hear these characters. What are you guys saying? What's my baby Guerilla saying? Well said, Andrew. Reform Party then, yeah. I think the only way to stop the SNP fascist group is to vote tactically. Check all for unity. All for unity. No, I'm not into... I would vote for Georgie Porgy Galloway, but I'm not all for unity. I wouldn't vote for the Lib Lab Con Party either, Theresa. And especially on the regional list, you're only going to get one vote, so it's either going to be the UK Reform Party or the Scottish Libertarian Party, depending on if you're a unionist for the UK Reform or the Scottish Libertarian Party if you're a nationalist. Last Thump, is that you laughing? How you doing, Last Thump? Reform Party, socialism is business suppression, that's right. That's right, Andrew. Too much regulation, no business growth, correct? Just government growth, that's right. And not producing anything either. Just a whole bunch of people saying, oh, you bullied me. Oh, no, you bullied me. Oh, that's harassment. That's what they all do. I'll be checking the last day or so, and then to go out today. What does that man say? I've been checking out over the last day or so, but I had to go out today. I wonder why you are in Mail-In where? Yeah, exactly. Good to have you back, Mail-In. How you doing? Sorry I missed the beginning of this. Sorry, don't worry, you can catch up with it. Good to see you, Mullen. Hi there.
Is this party standing entirely as a vehicle for this election, or should we expect to see them standing?
Not as good as my setup, eh? Look at that. I'm all planned. Wait until I get the green background and I'm getting the new mic in. I'll have my headphones on like this. Oh, where the hell did that happen? Where did it go? What the hell happened there? Where did that go? God damn it. Don't know what happened there. Can I click back here? No, that's not it. Close that. Damn. I'm getting the new mic. The new mic's coming in. So we've got it quite exciting. Just waiting for that. Beginning in the next month. And we'll be up and rocking and rolling with that. Announcements. Right, where did that go? Can't believe that just disappeared. Ah, come on. Where did that go? It's not right here. Oh, come on. How did that just disappear? Gee, damn it. I don't even know where that went. TV, Alba TV. Oh, there it is.
Is this party standing entirely as a vehicle for this election, or should we expect to see them standing in local elections or even by-elections as we move on? And second quick question, if I may. You still have allies in the SNP, Alex. Should we expect to see anyone else?
Jojo Cherry! Jojo Cherry! Oh, that's why she's not well. Oh, what a political move. Jojo and Alex, although I mean Jojo don't go on, her and Alex, and she's all of a sudden, I'm not well. Oh, I'm not well. Might go with Alex. Get a better chance there. So that's quite interesting. Don't be surprised if we don't see Jojo Cherry resigning as an MP to get in on the regional list. Obviously, quite a big heavy hitter, but she's still a globalist shill just like Alex and the SNP.
Joining the party, as well as you announced Chris McElhaney today. Should we expect to see any more high-profile defections?
Well, I think, Andrew, we've announced three what I describe as high-profile recruits, and four, if you include myself, today who've played a substantial role in Scottish politics. But as
Jojo Cherry's coming, I bet you. She's going to resign her parliamentary seat, or she might keep her parliamentary seat and take up for the Alba for Alba Independence, or she could resign the seat and try and get back in the Scottish Parliament. Can you imagine that? Alex and Jojo Cherry versus me Nippy. Oh, it's going to be great. What a laugh.
As I've said, we're hoisting our flag today, and this will be the first that well, just about everybody in Scotland has heard of the Alba Party, out with Laurie and his team of people who planned the idea, and the people we've discussed it with. So we're planting our flag in the wind, and we'll see who rallies to the banner. That's the important point of making the announcements. And I've tried today to give as much of a flavour of what the party's about to enable us to recruit support. But we'll be looking for people who want to join, who want to contribute, who want to be candidates. And we've got until next Wednesday to put forward that panel of candidates. I'm confident we can do it. It's a very tight timescale. And then we've got 6 weeks to take our case to the country, and I'm confident we can do that as well. But the end game of this will be judged by the people. And similarly in terms of...
Yeah, Jojo Cherry. That makes sense now. She's not well. Oh, I'm not well. Oh, I'm going to resign. Yeah, Jojo Cherry's wee battle axe. So, politically, I mean, no, I am, literally. That would make sense that this was up and coming, and I would suspect in the intervening period that we see Jojo Cherry on the regional list, maybe Edinburgh, for the Alba Party, that if they get enough support that they'll get elected. I don't know. I don't know how much it is for the... Let's try and find it. home. Oh, there's me there, 28 watching. How many votes to get MSP on regional list?
How are MSPs elected to the Scottish Parliament? At a Scottish Parliament election, each voter has 2 votes, one for their constituency and one for their region. Each person in Scotland is represented by 1 constituency MSP and 7 regional MSPs. All MSPs have equal status in the Parliament, and constituents may contact any of the 8 who represent them. Elections to the Scottish Parliament normally take place every 4 years. The voting system used is a type of proportional representation known as the Additional Member System, or AMS. With 1 vote, people choose between candidates standing in their constituency. The candidate winning the largest number of votes will gain the constituency seat. There is a total of 73 constituency MSPs. The other vote is for a political party, or for a candidate standing as an individual, within a larger electoral area called a Scottish Parliament region.
Oh my God, that's like listening to somebody speaking to an idiot, isn't it? Oh my God, hello. So this is another one. I think this is another political party. Independence for Scotland Party. And that's not the same as the Alba Party. So that's another independence party as well as the Scottish Libertarian Party. So there's probably going to be about 5 or 6.
For elections to the Scottish Parliament, Scotland is divided into 8 regions. Each region can contain 8 to 10 constituencies. So everyone in Scotland gets 2 votes, a constituency vote and a regional vote. There are 73 constituency seats and 56 regional seats. Combined, these return 129 MSPs to the Scottish Parliament. Constituency MSPs are elected by a first-past-the-post, FPTP system. You simply vote for the candidate you want to win. Whoever gets the most votes wins and becomes the MSP for that constituency. It's really that simple. The regional vote, list vote or second vote is a little more complicated, but after this you should understand it fine. It's used to select a party instead of an individual candidate. Party seats are determined by the regional votes cast. They are counted through a process called the D'Hondt system, a mathematical process to count the votes over a number of rounds. In each round, the highest scoring party is allocated a seat. There are 7 seats available, so the process lasts for 7 rounds. So, let's say there are 10 constituencies in a region. Imagine the SNP win 9 constituency seats and the Tories win 1. That's the easy part to understand. However, after that, the 7 regional list seats need to be allocated. Let's assume regional votes were cast as follows, with the SNP at 137,086, the Tories at 85,848, and the others as shown. The voting system, D'Hondt, works by dividing the party's regional vote by the number of seats they've already won, plus 1. In the previous example, the SNP won 9 constituency seats, so the regional votes will be divided by 9 plus 1, making 10. And the Tories won 1 constituency seat, so their regional votes will be divided by 1 plus 1, making 2 for round 1. This results in the following. After D'Hondt is applied, the Tories have the most votes with 42,924, and they win the first regional seat in round 1. The Tories have now won 2 seats. They have won 1 constituency seat and 1 regional seat, so their vote is now divided by 2 plus 1, making 3, for each round going forward. After D'Hondt is applied for round 2, Labour have the most votes with 38,791, so they win the second regional seat. Now that Labour have won 1 regional seat, their vote will be divided by 1 plus 1, making 2, for each future round. After calculations for round 3, the Tories again have the most votes with 28,616, so they win the third regional seat. The Tories have now won 3...
I mean, they talk to you, I mean, it's obviously a child talking here. I must think we're all stupid. Anyway, carry on. What you guys saying? What's my baby Guerilla saying? This is talking to idiots. I know that's what it's like, isn't it? Oh, and yes, let's get the child in to talk to you, morons. Let's get them. Even the child understands this. It's clear as mud. Can't vote, but the SNP will try and get the under-9s to vote. Independence crippled Scotland for decades. Nothing else. Well, it might not, but it would cripple it under the administration that the political class and the voters will bring in. It will cripple it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. If we look to Singapore or Hong Kong and set up a huge banking system and blah, 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 we could actually be very successful. Look to Luxembourg. And that's it. What the hell you watching? CBeebies, I know CBeebies for adults, isn't it? Hello, children. This is how you vote. Put the X in the vote box. Here we go. Right,
Alba's development. This is an organisation which is focused on standing candidates in the list section of the Scottish Parliament. If you look at our constitution, it doesn't exclude having councillors, MPs, and the rest of it. Nor should we, because that's important that Alba can look forward in the future to that sort of representation. But the priority for Alba is to get our list of candidates ready for these Scottish Parliament elections. That's going to be a Herculean task over the next few days, because next Wednesday is the deadline. They have to be in by next Wednesday. And you'll judge the calibre of our candidates by the people who come forward. I think that calibre will be strong. I think we'll start from a strong foundation. And then, as I say, over the next 6 weeks, we'll take our case to the country and we'll be judged by the people. Next question.
Tom Gordon.
Hello there, Alec. We've all heard your mantra about 2 court cases, 2 judges, 1 jury and 3 inquiries. I think it's going to wear a bit thin over the next 6 weeks because character matters to voters. And I think voters want to know if you are a reformed character or whether you are still the bully and the creep who is described in court. Are you still a bully?
Apparently I'm a bully and a racist, apparently, according to Peter, who's just made up, who's never met me before. Apparently, Paul Hutchinson, although he was at the David Irvine event for the Holocaust denier, which I wasn't there at, this all started back from Paul's article, which he was at, and obviously him being part of the Reach group, Reach PLC, and also in the Daily Record supporting Labour. We already know that Labour have come up for criticism for being anti-Semitic, just like the BNP. So the BNP and Labour Party have got something in common. And then you've got them led by a person who's a Muslim, which when I read the Quran, I would say the Quran was more anti-Semitic than Mein Kampf. And then you've got him as a Labour supporting person who's now got a Muslim who follows the Quran and maybe anti-Semitic himself in charge of Labour. I don't know that for a fact, but I'm just saying because he's a Muslim and because the Quran's very anti-Semitic, he may be anti-Semitic. It's not beyond the realms of belief. That Paul Hutchins then had the temerity to then turn around to me and say, what were you doing at the David Irvine event, which I wasn't even at, and made a hit piece on me. And that was the first one that started these other hit pieces. But Paul Hutchins basically fabricated me being at this David Irvine event. I would have possibly gone because obviously I talk to everybody in politics. I don't limit myself. I don't say, oh, he's a racist bully, and then say, I'm not talking to you. I mean, how petty and childish is that? I'll talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody in Scottish society. There's no barriers to me. Because I'm a libertarian, I will not judge you prior to me actually speaking to you. Obviously, I can get a feel for people because I know what questions to ask anyway. But I'm not going to start. I mean, that's like me jumping on ITV's broadcast and start saying, you're a racist, you're a bully, you're a bully, you're a racist, bully. I mean, how pathetic was that? I don't know if you guys saw it, but I mean, I was really sort of taken aback by how he looked like he was on drugs. He looked like he'd been taking cocaine in the car. His eyes were all wild and and I was just trying to have a conversation with Mr. Sawa in a difficult situation because there was another interview going on, and I was just trying to get a chat with him on the way back. It looked like he was on drugs. He was all sort of high, and he's not shaving there. I'm well shaved and looked fantastic. Even with long hair, he's like the hair bear, isn't he? Peter Adams. But they can just write anything. They could write I was a serial killer and I don't know, just anything. They can write anything about me. And I've got no comeback because you can't get the lawyers to actually even take them into court. Well, that's why there has to be reforms in the judicial system. Because the process of being accountable and held accountable is not happening in our current judicial system. Because if a lawyer says, I'm just not going to take that to court, what are you going to do? So there's going to be changes in the judicial system as well, so we can get these characters in court, and then they have to stand by what they've written.
And a creep, or have you reformed?
I'm a creep, I'm a weirdo.
Well, Tom, I think it isn't a matter of having a mantra about court cases. There's a reason for having court judgments and going to court, and that is to establish things.
You're still guilty even after you're found innocent. Oh, well, you're still guilty. Oh, you were found innocent of that murder? Well, we still think you're guilty. So they're post-judging you on the back of being being found innocent of this. I mean, it's quite incredible. I mean, really, quite incredible.
There's a reason that we have juries in this country, and there's a reason for having
trial media after the fact, post the fact. So we're going to judge you again, even though you've been found not innocent. You've been found innocent. We're judging you again.
Charges and be able to answer them, and the verdict kind of matters. It matters not just to me; it matters to any decent democratic society. So it ain't a mantra that we've had 2 court cases, 2 judges, a jury, and 3 inquiries or investigations. I mean, that is what has happened. And I'm saying that I'm prepared and do accept the results of all of these investigations, court cases, juries, and inquiries. And the 2 matters which I've identified in terms of taking forward are things that arise out of the inquiry findings, not the ones which were agreed by 5 votes to 4, but the ones which were agreed unanimously by the variety of parties on the inquiries. And I think that's a reasonable position to take. In terms of character mattering, then that's exactly what an election is about. And I'm hoping that as I put forward in a positive way the case for an independent Scotland, the case for a supermajority in the Scottish Parliament, the contribution I think I will make, The list of candidates...
It would be better if he stood against Nicola Sturgeon in her constituency. That would just be absolutely brilliant. Him and Sarwar and Nicola Sturgeon in the same constituency vote. And if that's true, the wee nippy might not get in because of the regional list. She might not get enough, and she put somebody else ahead of her, so she might not get in on the regional list either. Oh man, please, Alex, come on, stand against Nippy in her constituency.
It will bring forward the ideas that we have, the contribution we can make to the economic recovery of this country from the pandemic, and then the construction of that new independence platform by a parliament.
He could actually do that. He could take her out because he would still be on the regional list. I don't know where he would be in the regional. If you can be in a constituency in Glasgow and on the regional list up the northwest. That's irrelevant, and there's a good chance because although he didn't win his last election, there's still a good chance that he'll get enough votes to actually be elected in the regional list. Whereas Nippy's now number 2 in her regional list. So if he stood against her, Sarwar stood against her, and that destroyed her overall majority, she'd be off skate.
And not just a political party, is a strong argument which people will look to, and the way in which we express it perhaps will contribute to the character judgments you're looking at. But look, this is an argument that's going to the people, Tom, and on the people's hands that argument will rest. Either Alba will be successful, that many people will rally to our standard, or it won't. And we'll find out over the next 6 weeks. More immediately, we'll find out over the next few days as to whether we can get that candidates list, which I'm promising, into place by next Wednesday.
Jojo Cherry. I think this has been the move. Why she's been, I'm not well. I think Jojo Cherry is going to be on it. And Jojo Cherry is a formidable politician, and she's been getting a lot ambassaded, although I personally don't like her because of the way she talked to me. Jojo Cherry could be the person to come on here. And Alex actually recruit her because she is even though I don't like her, she is a heavy political hitter. She wouldn't beat me, but she is a political hitter if we were having a debate.
But the ultimate judgment is going to be one for the people to make, and on that judgment will the success or not of Alba depend. What I am certain is if Alba are successful, if we are successful in gaining a foothold, representation in the 8 regions, so lists of Scotland, then that in itself will make a substantial and positive contribution to the supermajority in the Scottish Parliament.
I'll give you 500 quid if you stand in the Nicola Sturgeon's constituency. I will give you the 500 quid to actually stand if you stand in the constituency of Nicola Sturgeon.
But more important, and one of the advantages of having that parliamentary legitimacy will contribute to the independence for Scotland. And whenever I have or haven't been throughout my political life, I have been devoted to that cause and will continue to be devoted to it till the day I die. Next question.
Yeah. New Financial Times, thank you. There's clearly a risk that if the Alba party doesn't get to the threshold for an MSP for a regional list, then you could actually reduce the number of...
So, hold on, let's see that. Come on, Peter. What's the difference between an MSP and MP? Oh, come on. see if we can get it off thing, mate. Google threshold MSP regional list. Sorry for the dead time, guys. How additional works. Voters, 2 elections, 7 regional MSPs. Each person living in Scotland, 8 representatives. Unlike the one party will get overall majority, therefore the conditions likely, for example, 1999 election results when Labour and the Lib Democrats formed a coalition, the Scottish Executive. New parties, smaller parties like the Greens, by first past the post, Greens and Scottish Socialist Party. Tactical voting in the Scottish Parliament. SNP elections, the Scottish elections majority. So I can't find it. Cannot find it. Electoral Reform Society Scotland. May actually look at that later. No, threshold, additional members. How to vote, how to count, 73 Westminster balance. I don't know, guys. I try my best there. Additional members, get it. Green. So I don't know what the threshold is. But that's quite interesting.
Pro-independence MSPs, particularly if you take votes from the Greens. What percentage of the vote do you think you need to get to prevent that happening? And separately, you've made the point about respecting the judgment of the inquiries in courts, but I think people are interested also in your personal judgment. And do you personally feel that you have anything to apologise for in your conduct towards women while you were First Minister?
Well, take the first one first. The point I've made is everything I've said on the record about these matters stands. Everything I said in court and elsewhere stands. But the court judgments are also important because you make your case, as I did in the High Court of Judiciary, but also in the Court of Session and in front of the inquiries. You make your case and then you accept the results. You accept the things you like and you accept the things you don't like. And what I've said about that, Muir, and I think it's crucially important, is that people now accept what has happened after 2 court judgments, a jury in the High Court, 2 judges, 3 inquiries. It seems a good time to accept what's been said, to take the implications of the recommendations as I've laid out, and to move on to debate the future of Scotland. And that's exactly what I'm doing, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. As far as the arithmetic of the DeHont system is concerned, well, I did pre-aid the observation poll from yesterday, and as far as the SNP is concerned, given that the SNP were forecast to win no, that is 0 list seats in that poll, despite winning 67 constituencies, I think it was, across the country, but no list votes off a 39%, which would be almost 1 million votes. Obviously there is a substantial opportunity to increase the number of independents supporting MSPs in the Parliament to build the supermajority. That seems to me a good thing. As far as the parties which are standing on the list, then ALBA will put forward our platform, the Greens will put forward their platform, other parties, the FI and others might put forward, the ISP might put forward their platform, and people over the next 6 weeks will judge. But it's not for me to tell these other list parties that they should or shouldn't stand. They've got an absolute democratic entitlement to do so, to put themselves before the people. But I think there is a substantial opportunity, many other people think that as well, of getting more independent supporting MPs, MSPs into the Scots Parliament to build that supermajority. And I think in terms of the cause of independence, it's an opportunity that should be taken, because I think that supermajority will be crucial to strengthening Scotland's hand in the difficult negotiations to come. I think it will be absolutely crucial to have that platform of independents supporting MSPs in that Parliament. Next question.
Andy Phillip, Press and Journal. Alec, you said you're standing on the North East list, presumably at the top. The last time you stood on the North East, in the North East, you lost. What do you now have to offer constituents other than a campaign for independence?
Well, Andy, I mean, in terms of political...
Don't shave them though. They'll like that. Them hairy Sturgeon done deals with all the mosques in her constituency, has she? Aye. Sending them goes. I'm not saying that. I'm already in enough trouble. Beheading coming your way. Yeah, probably. Yeah. It's good. It's good to have been invited, though, isn't it? It's good to have been invited, and not the fact that I've identified there might be an issue. It's me that's the problem, not them. Peter the Plonker was Peter the Plonker on ITV. Yeah, we saw Peter the Plonker. Marion. Oh dear, what an idiot. Oh dear. Not you, Marion, you're fantastic. They build on the moon. Davey, you get the boys' body's door. That's what you're saying. Davey, you'd get a piece at anybody's door. That's what you're saying. Yeah, they can just throw me in the muck. My mum used to read me the story of Brer Rabbit, and Brer Rabbit said, "Don't throw me in the bramble bush. Don't throw me in the bramble bush." He had been, I think, attached to some tar or something like that. And he gets thrown in the bramble bush, and then he escaped and said, "I live in the bramble bush."
History, I may have this wrong actually, because I sometimes do, but I think I'm right in saying I stood 10 times in the northeast of Scotland and won 9 of them, which I mean, obviously I'd have loved to be in 10 out of 10. But 9 out of 10 is not a bad batting average, Andy. But well, it's at the hands of the people. You're as good as your next result, not your last result in politics. In terms of the northeast of Scotland, then there's absolutely vital things to be done. We have enormous issues with regard to our food and fish processing industries in terms of access to European markets. I know that many people who saw Brexit as a solution to their problems now see Brexit as an absolute nightmare in terms to get access to markets, but importantly, of course, to sustain the prices of their produce, which depended to a great extent on the quality of, for example, Scottish langoustine being supported by the prices it commanded in the Spanish and French marketplaces. And this is a huge tragedy.
Listen, I think the fish industry is very important, and I don't play. And it's good the fact that they'll now be able to catch more fish in British territories. But it's high tech, and this is why he's not talking about what's going to increase the GDP. It's high tech in financial services, Alex. And I mean, I think it's great that the fishermen are making a good amount of money, but it's high tech that it's going to be the future. And I don't think you guys actually know that. Shouldn't be, what about the fishermen? Well, I think the fishermen are very important, and I'm glad that they're able to catch more now that we're out of the EU in their own waters.
Going on that at the present moment, one that many of us foresaw as a problem, but was waved away as an issue by the UK government. And then to get that guaranteed access to the marketplace in economic terms, to that single marketplace, is absolutely vital for a food and fish producing area like the northeast of Scotland. That's what sustains the prices and therefore sustains the livelihoods of many of of our folk here. Second issue is the transition in terms of fossil fuels to other forms of energy. As you know, I was extremely keen. I'm extremely keen. I even had an argument with the former President of the United States about it, Andy, about the importance of us broadening our base from hydrocarbons into the renewable sector.
Yeah, maybe you want to go into the high growth sector and high tech. Maybe that'd be a good idea, Alex. How about that? How about something different than all your the green policies? How about actually developing the economy and getting people jobs?
Not just into the renewable sector, obviously, but into carbon capture. That argument needs to be rejoined because it can only be more pressing to have that diversity, to build the energy expertise which we have.
Without a shadow of doubt, energy is very important, and the improvement in renewables and they were able to develop more efficient machines, 100% important, and to export that as well. But we need to get behind the high tech market, Alex, and the fact that none of you politicians are even talking about that, you even understand it, is just absolutely mind blowing to me. You've had you and the full left. And I'm talking about every one of the politicians on the left over the last period of time, including the SNP, including the Liberals, even up to the Tories, all of these people who have been in the authoritarian left with your globalist ambitions have failed to actually bring up Scottish entrepreneurs to actually become world leaders, which they could have been.
In abundance in the northeast of Scotland, and to make sure that it commands its position in the offshore renewable sector, but also in the renewable sector of the new technologies as a whole. Now, some important work is being done. We need to do rather more of it very quickly. And perhaps the recovery from COVID will provide the economic financial impetus in order that should be done. And the last point I would make, the announcement about John Lewis's in Aberdeen is an illustration of the great challenges that we're going to face and the huge importance of the ideas that the Alba Party, and I am sure others, will bring forward for economic recovery from the pandemic. And these are things which we hope to contribute in the campaign so that people across the northeast of Scotland and indeed around the country will consider us worthy of consideration in the regional list ballot. Next question.
Hello, Alec. Roddy McLeod here, Barhead Boy blog. Can I just firstly say it's great to see...
How the hell were you not there? We're actually a company. Somebody was sort of laughing at us that I said that we're a company. But the reason I said that we're a company is that ITV is just a company. So if I'm not just a random guy just asking a politician questions. We're a company. As ITV is a company. So would ITV be quite okay with me jumping in the middle of their conversations and their live casts and start shouting racist at them and bully? I might do that just for a laugh. Just noise it up and just tape it. Just to noise them up. Just start doing that in the middle of his ITV broadcast.
See you back. It's wonderful to have a positive campaigner, a great campaigner, and someone who's been like a colossus over our politics for years. And can I say I'm also horrified at some of the media questions that you've had to suffer today. One of them, someone mentioning that character matters, but obviously not when you work for the right-wing media. But what I would like to ask you is that one of the most important things is education. I think all parties, including the SNP, all the parties, the main establishment parties, have failed to really educate the people on the vagaries of the list system, the Dehont AMS system. It's something that we need to do. How do you see, because it's so vital, of course, to Alba?
I would really like to know what sort of minimum would get an MSP elected. So I'd like to know that. What was the minimum? I don't know if any of my baby gorillas know it, but what was the minimum level that an MSP got elected on? So there's only 5 parties in the Scottish Parliament, with the Greens being the smallest one. So whatever level the Greens got, I would take it, would have been the smallest amount. So I'd like to know what the the regional counts were for the Green Party?
To get people understanding that, how do you see that you can help promote that and educate the people in 6 weeks towards that goal of understanding how important that regional list vote is? Thank you.
I say it's really nice to put a face to Barhead Boy, Sterling. But in terms of questions, people are entitled to ask the questions. We have an open press conference. People can ask me what they like. That's
so why were we not there?
That is part of the engagement of politics, and I make no complaint whatsoever about that. That's up to folk how to frame their questions, and I'll frame the answers.
Rather than Sawa just ignoring the questions and you're right wing. No, Mr. Sawa, I'm a centrist, but you are a GIMP, globalist Islamo-Marxist party.
In terms of your point, I'm really interested, and I think it was Dan of the Daily Telegraph was asking about, the hot system, isn't this kind of gaming the system? As if people don't game the first past the post system. The wasted vote argument, of course, was an argument in the first past the post system which was used for generations against the SNP, used against the Liberal Party, used against the Green Party, used against the Socialist Party, used against many parties who didn't have a view which was compatible with the mainstream or establishment thinking. And so first past the post was done and used in a way to crowd out different points of view, and eventually the SNP overcame that and were able to massively gain from first past the post. So the D'Hondt system and the nature of it and the list system of the Scots Parliament was there for a purpose. It was there to give smaller parties with something to say and something to offer an opportunity to gain a foothold in the Scots Parliament. And at various elections that has been done. We've had not just a variety of socialist parties, we've had sparkling independents like Dennis Canavan and of course the late Margaret MacDonald, and a wonderful contribution to make. We've had the Pensioners Party, we've had the National Health Party at various points. So that has done exactly what it said on the D'Hondt tin.
I think we need a Scottish Libertarian Party or more of the UK Reform Party.
It gives people the opportunity in the regional list vote to add some flavour, colour, some grit in the oyster of the Scots Parliament. Therefore, the Alba Party, in standing for the list, isn't taking advantage of the system. It is playing the ball as it lies. It is showing that the list system gives that opportunity for emerging ideas to gain a foothold. Now, I think there are emerging ideas which are crucial to Scotland's future at the present moment, because there is nothing more.
They keep saying they've got ideas, but they never tell you what they are. What's your ideas? What is the ideas?
Important than recovery from the pandemic and some of the contributions we'll make.
That the SNP put in that's 99.5% survivable.
To that.
And the people that are dying are majority either have underlying health conditions or over the age of the natural death rate.
There's nothing more important than constructing the new platform for Scottish independence and the ideas we can bring forward to that. And there's absolutely...
doesn't seem to, apart from criminalising people for what they say, what ideas does the SNP come forward with?
Nothing more important than having a supermajority of MSPs in that Scottish Parliament to provide the comfort and
a supermajority that gets rid of the hate speech bill.
Support for the independence negotiations to cast that argument as Boris Johnson against the Parliament and against the people of Scotland, not as an inter-party to battle. Thanks for the question, Barhead Boy.
Foster from Global Radio here. Now, I understand this multi-party position that you're talking about, that having more than one party going for a Section 30 order will be perhaps more plausible than the current situation where it's just the SNP. But is there any precedent that you can think of a party this close to an election that is launched finding success at the polls, barring, of course, Nigel Farage's Brexit party? And if that's the case, are you seeing Nigel Farage and his Brexit party as your role model here?
But no, I'm not. No more than I'm seeing President Macron as my role.
Although Farage and Salmond are very close, not politically, I mean actually as in successful in their own respect. Probably Nigel's more successful because he managed to get us out of the EU, which is credit to him. His actual they say most political careers end in failure, but to be honest, Nigel's probably was successful. Did take him a long time, but it was successful penultimately.
Model would be another example of a party which emerged very close to elections. Look, these things are not easy. I mean, the reason that you were looking just for one example and I've given you another, I think we both might struggle if we would get to, well, let's put it this way, we both might struggle if we had to go beyond counting the fingers of one hand. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen, it can happen, and it happens when the conditions are right, if people have an argument to put forward. But I'm not underrating the difficulties attached to this. I mean, this is a substantial task to get a list of candidates in by next week.
What are you guys saying? What's my baby Guerilla saying? Don't shave. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Sell the fish in the UK. Yeah, that was one of my thoughts as well, Michael. Exactly. Your level of intelligence and ability for articulate debate is fairly shown through today. Thank you. I'm not sure if you're talking about me or his. Telling you later, 4 years later, we have no ideas. Repeat. Yeah, that's right, Zep. That's right. That's exactly what they do. Yeah, tons of ideas. What are the ideas? Not telling you. Secret. We're going to just vote for me. We've got a secret here going on. Not telling you the ideas. We're just going to tell you what we're going to do. That we've got ideas. And then 4 years later, where were the ideas? What was the things you were actually going to do? What did you actually do? Oh, I mean, honestly, enjoy your weekend, Davey. Thanks, buddy. Thank you. Last jump. Did he see the Alibaba party? You guys kill me, I swear to God.
Wednesday, who are of the complexion, the calibre and the breadth that Alba's looking for, and then to take that case to the country over 6 weeks, that is a huge task. And of course, to get the voter appreciation and acknowledgement of your existence, of course, is the first hurdle to get over. So, of course, it is a substantial task, but the opportunity is there. The position is there in the list to put forward a coherent argument and to add to the independence firmament in the Scots Parliament. So, I think it's a substantial task, but it's something that needs doing, that should be done. Therefore, I've accepted Laurie Flynn's invitation to take Alba through this election.
He's very good. He's very statesmanlike. I have to give him his due. He is, and he's able to rebuff these trivialities coming from these reporters as well, with their slants on the story.
I'll call you back, Laura.
Oh yeah, I know. Look at this character. Is he on? Listen, seriously, is this guy on drugs? He was looking at me like that the other day. There, the guy looks like he's absolutely out his tree and coke. That probably explains why he was jumping in front of me. Oh my god, look at that! Look at him. Is that not somebody that's taking drugs? My goodness, look at that. That's the way he was looking at me. He was freaking me out the other day. Just jumped in out of nowhere. Oh my goodness, look at that. Stay at him.
Oh.
Look, he's absolutely, I think he might be on something. That would explain his erratic behaviour. He might just be making a lot of money and, getting high in his own supply. Allegedly.
Hello?
Oh, see, he doesn't know who he's talking to. Probably going to start shouting at Alex being a racist and a bully again. Maybe he's lost his marbles. Oh, look.
No, would you?
He's away with it, isn't he? He's totally gone.
Peter, they're giving...
Oh, look at him. Look, he looks a bit creepy, isn't he? Creepy.
You a second go before people...
Oh, look. Oh, where am I? I think he's absolutely mental.
People have had a first go, so...
Sorry, I'm very, very grateful for that. Thank you very much, Mr. Salmond. Sorry.
He didn't speak like that to me.
In response to here has been a statement released by the SNP, and I'm grateful for you taking the second question, but they're saying, the SNP saying in response to your launch that this is perhaps the most predictable development in Scotland.
Now, I'm not sure if Peter's gay, but one of the things I was trying to defend were people from the LGBT community, because I know they get persecuted through Islam. So I don't know if Peter's gay. So he's protecting Islam. They would throw him off the minarets if he is gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay, but if Peter is gay and I'm trying to protect him because of his sexuality, and he's protecting Muslims who would literally kill him in 13 countries, I think, death penalty, 13 Muslim countries, death penalty for being homosexual. But he looks like he's on drugs. I'm not being. I know we've got a bit of a gripe going on, but I mean, he looks like he's on drugs.
Scottish politics. They said that at a time of crisis, the interests of the country must come first and should not be obscured by the self-interest of someone who shows no sign whatsoever of reflecting on serious concerns about his own conduct, concerns which, to put it mildly, raise real questions about the appropriateness of a return to public office.
Well, you just shouted about me being a racist and a bully when I was talking about children being abused. So I don't know how you work that out, Peter. You just throwing accusations about. Is it just make up stuff as we go along? Oh, just make this up, make that up. Oh, he's already been found not. He's went through a court of law and been found not guilty. So you can't just continually making up stuff, Peter.
This is a party that you're saying that you want to help. It doesn't sound like...
That guy looks like he's on drugs. I mean, unless he's got a medical condition. I've obviously quite open and honest with you guys about dyslexia and ADD. But unless he's got a medical condition that makes him a bit jittery, hyperactive, or got anxiety or something, then he looks like he's on drugs, which would explain his erratic behaviour to me.
They want your help at all, Mr. Salmond. And I would also say that there have been questions raised by other parties today about whether women can feel safe working with you. And I know that you said that's...
I don't feel safe working with you. You were very rude the first time, and then when we went over a stand by somebody else doing an interview, you were shouting and bawling over there as well. You absolute fruitcake. What an erratic individual.
That's been dealt with already. I just wonder if in response to those concerns, are you taking any extra steps to safeguard women who will be working with you?
I'm getting bouncers to safeguard me against you, you absolutely erratic crackpot.
See from the Alba Party's list of candidates, some substantial women candidates will be coming forward, and that I think speaks for itself, Peter. As far as the SNP, well,
put the coke pipe down.
According to my pledge of the Alba will be a positive campaign and we shall not rise to any negative bait. I would just comment that if this was the most predictable development in Scottish politics, then as far as I know, very few, if any, people have actually predicted it. So it's somewhat easy to say something is predictable after the event. The challenge of a prediction is to make that forecast before the event. But let me repeat the Alba pledge that we'll go forward and we'll campaign in an entirely positive fashion on a platform that will assist independence for Scotland, because we believe a contingent of Alba Party MPs in the Scottish Parliament will build a supermajority for independence, which will be an essential advantage in Scotland's position in negotiations with the Westminster government. It will provide perhaps the crucial ingredient which will tilt things in Scotland's favour, and Alba will go forward both in the nature of our campaign and the contribution we're trying to make.
You know, I think Alex Salmond was certainly a significantly better leader than Nicola Sturgeon was, or is. However, there was no, for the 14 years, I don't see any big plans, big ambitions, big sort of ideas that have came forward out of them. They just say, "Oh, we've got tons of ideas." What are they then? Oh, tell you in 4 years.
And at the end of the day, in 6 weeks' time, it will be the people who judge the outcome.
Right,
He
is on some. Please tell me it's not just me that sees that. His eyes are bloodshot. He looks terrible, and his hair's a mess. Maybe I should give the guy a break. Maybe I should. He might have other issues happening in his life. He may. And don't harass him. Do not harass him. Don't do anything on my part. Although I've been slandered all over the media, I don't care about that. It's not really an issue. I'll deal with that when I speak to him myself. But don't do anything. Don't say anything bad to him. And I don't want anything to happen. But he does. His eyes look bloodshot. He looks like he's on drugs, to be brutally honest with me, or he's got a problem. He's got some sort of issue there, and I don't know what it is. So I would just be trying to be kind to him, my baby gorillas, because he may have issues that we don't know about. Because it was a bit erratic the other day.
So make it a good one. Thanks, Peter.
Lewis Goodall.
Mr. Salmond, over the it is entirely possible that at the end of this, you and your party, if you're elected as you all hope, will hold a balance of power in the Scottish Parliament. You may be put in a position, as we've seen over the last few weeks, where you may have to express confidence in the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon.
Look, the balance of power. Oh, can you imagine? Just fantastic. The only thing that's better than that is if Alex Salmond actually stands in her constituency. That would just be to die for.
She vote for her to continue in her post after that election. Given everything that you have said and the opprobrium on which you've poured on many of your former colleagues, many of whom you alleged have effectively engaged in a conspiracy against you, how can you really do that?
Yeah, we all know they have. We all know. With all the redactions and everything, and abuse of office. Hilarious.
With any credibility?
Well,
the Tories need to reform the Scotland Act. The Tories just now need to reform the Scotland Act and make separations in the things that David Davies was actually saying, and do it properly, and get parliamentary privilege into the Scottish Parliament as well. Because if Scotland does become independent, before they do that, then it can be a real problem, especially in a one-party state.
First things first, the election of First Minister in the Scots Parliament. I mean, I was elected, if I remember, as First Minister with 49 votes out of 129 in the Scots Parliament. The contribution we want to make in the Scots Parliament is to the independence platform to make sure there's that supermajority of SNP MPs. But supporting independence, so across the range of parties. We're a party which is unambiguously saying to people, vote for your independence candidate, your SNP candidate, in your constituency ballot. So we're already giving the SNP that endorsement and support. And we're saying vote for Alba on your regional list ballot to get that supermajority which will provide an impetus for independence. I think, as I said on Wednesday, that once the inquiries were over, and as I've said at this conference today, if we can come...
So Alex in his regional list will get a lot of votes. So he will get a lot... So might Georgie Porgy Galloway. So those two heavy hitters might get enough to actually get elected, which is going to make it a lot more fun. I can't wait to be doing my interviews with these guys. See if they walk away from me. Georgie Porgy's already kicked me off his radio show because he couldn't handle speaking to me. I can talk to every one of them, and they won't answer my questions because they know that the questions I'm asking are correct, and it's better to slander me, destroy me as a political entity because they don't want to answer the tough questions. They will continue to do it, and the more I'll hold them to account. So it's only going to get more fun for everybody. So me versus Georgie Porgy. Will be great. Me seeing Alex as well. Can't wait. Shouting, better me to talk to him on a basis rather than shouting questions. But they know we're getting bigger anyway. That's what they're scared of. They're scared of the Guerilla TV channel getting better, more professional, and they're scared about the questions that we know that we have got in our armoury that will actually open up a lot of worms, a lot of questions, actually address underlying issues that they don't want us to know about or understand for the average individual. That's why we're called the Guerilla TV channel.
Compass that within the two court judgments, the jury's verdict, the two judges, and the 3 inquiries and investigations, then you've got kind of 2 choices. You can either say, I didn't agree with that, I don't like it, I don't think that should have happened, or you say, look, we'll accept the verdict. I'm for accepting the verdict. The 2 continuing actions which I identified on Wednesday arise directly out of recommendations of the inquiry, unanimous recommendations of the inquiry, and therefore that is part of accepting the recommendations. I haven't raised questions over the issues where I thought the inquiry were wrong or the Hamilton report was wrong, because at the end of the day, if you engage in a process, you've got to accept the outcome. I engaged in these inquiries, and therefore I accept the outcome, just as people should accept the result of court judgments and jury verdicts. Really important that people do that, in my opinion. But I'm prepared to do it, I'm going to do it, and that's why ALBA will be an entirely positive force in Scottish politics, in Scottish society, and in the campaign for Scottish independence. I want to thank everyone for their questions today, every single one of you, and let me repeat, the 6 weeks.
I said he was going to come back. I thought he would go back through the SNP. I was told about this new party as well. I didn't know if it was going to be set up on time. So I thought he would go back in through the SNP, maybe challenge me, Nippy. This is even more fun. This is probably his close allies that are going to be there. So I think more people may resign from the SNP to join this new ALBA party now that's been launched by Alex now. So I think there'll be people funding it. He's obviously at contacts with funding, and it should be very interesting.
We've got to establish ALBA's significance in Scottish politics, to gain representation from a standing start. I think we can do it. I'm not making no claim it's going to be easy. Our objective is to gain a foothold in each of the list areas of Scotland and gain support for people who will appreciate. We're going to try to make a positive contribution to Scotland's recovery from the pandemic in economic terms. And we're going to contribute to the platform for an independent country, which is essential if we're going to face the realities of where we are now as opposed to where we were in 2014. And thirdly, and crucially, and devastatingly obviously, take the opportunity to build that supermajority of independents supporting MSPs in the Scots Parliament. I think ALBA can do it. We can make a contribution to do it. But myself and every other ALBA candidate will be putting ourselves in the hands of the people. The one certainty you can have is everything we do, say in this campaign will be entirely positive and about the future of Scotland. It'll be an entirely constructive contribution to a debate I enormously look forward to. And with that, thank you one and all, to the television, to the mainstream media, to the bloggers, to our international questioner from Spain, and to everybody else who's been tuning in. It won't be the last you hear from ALBA, but I hope you quite enjoyed what you've heard so far. Thanks again, and good afternoon.
Well, that was quite interesting, wasn't it, my baby gorillas? What my team saying? What are they all saying? Another big government party. Yeah, there's John Watson saying another big government party. No, John, less freedom. Yeah, that's right. We'll be drinking. So definitely vote Scottish Libertarian Party or UK Reform Party, depending on if you're unionist or whatever else you are. He's away to slit his hands off a skirt. Oh dear. Oh, you guys are too funny. All critical race theorists will be the SNP's hopeful now. All the Marxists are leaving the SNP. I think all the race theorists are going to stay in the SNP, and the Marxists are going to stay. I think Alex is slightly more social democrat, whereas Nippy is a little bit more SJW, which is obviously from the Frankfurt School and the critical theory, and then becoming the critical race theory, then that she feels she'd be entitled. She's entitled to things. It's not equality, it's entitlement. I'm entitled to this. This is meant to be, even though she's in charge. She's the oppressor now. Her and Humza Useless are the oppressors, if you're looking at it through the Marxist lens, and we're the oppressed. Move all the civil servants as well. Yeah, we certainly need to reduce the number of civil servants as well. I don't know what they're doing. Yeah, power needs to be separated in Scotland. Yeah, and what we also need to do is actually find out who's actually doing things in the civil service, reduce the civil service, reduce other government aspects, and increase the amount of opportunities on high tech, high growth companies, and that's what we need to do. That's where the real dough is. Also, in the banking and the civil service, we'll reduce taxation, so that and put it in your hands so that you can spend it how you want to spend it, and we'll get back as like the 1990s, naughty 90s, and have a great time now that we've gone through this coronavirus. We're going to enjoy ourselves now, but only if you vote for the Scottish Libertarian Party or the UK Reform Party. I think the UK Reform Party under Miss Ballantyne is she's a wee bit serious. I don't know. She came across very well the last interview I saw. So my fingers crossed, and I don't know who the guys are that brought through, but certainly the last guys stood in the Brexit Party were a good bunch of guys as well with me. So, just the beginning, guys. Just the beginning. Love you guys. So I'm going to put together something myself just now. So I may take a few days off just so I can focus on it, so that I can use my huge, massive forehead and the huge brain behind it to concentrate on doing a political party. But this one's going to be very interesting. It's going to be a British political party, but it might be too late, depending on what actually happens with the independence this time. But it'll be a British party, but it'll have its own wee quirks. So that'll be quite interesting as well. I need to do it fast before we get independence, find out if that's a goer or not. My baby gorillas, I love you guys. Thanks, David. Thanks, Budgie Smuggler. Budgie Smuggler. Guys, hair looks mighty curly. Guys, hair looks mighty curly to me. I don't know what that's in relation to. Anyway, we're out of here. Let's get out of here. Come on, where are you?